Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Before we get into it, I want to talk about a project that I was doing with Ironclad, of which the second episode should be releasing, I think, the same day that this podcast is coming out. I did a 4-part series with them called Black Projects. Specifically, we were diving into the history of UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomenon, also known as UFOs for normal people. And it was a pretty cool experience. Visually rich, historically rich, a lot of information. It's available now. At the end of today's show, I'm going to add a 60-second trailer that you can watch if you want to. You're already here for the podcast, so hang in there for 60 seconds at the end and check it out. If you like what you see, head over to the Ironclad YouTube page and you can watch it for yourself. Okay, enough about that. Today's episode is with Greg Anderson. Repeat guest. He first came on the podcast slightly into the beginning of COVID. He was in the military. He worked in law enforcement at a federal level and state level. He hit my radar when he made a video in his police car while working for, I believe, the Port Authority of Seattle. If I'm incorrect in that, that's my fault, not his. Talking, in my words, again, describing his video to other police officers about what their roles and responsibilities maybe actually should be during the pandemic and what they should consider as valid and legal and perhaps immoral and illegal when it came to what they were being told to do. He ended up losing his job because of that video. And I think I asked him on the show, he wouldn't take it back for the world. He's a high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner. Apparently, he's very good at arm bars. I wouldn't know because he's never arm barred me. What do you think about that, Greg? And he's got a podcast called Endless Endeavor, an awesome jiu-jitsu school on the West Coast, north of Seattle, I believe it is, Electric North Jiu-Jitsu. And it was awesome to catch up with him. And, you know, we never really know what we're going to talk about. Probably got a little bit off the rails at times. He believes in the power of crystals. We definitely talked about that. So, yeah. Episode 382 is going to be with Greg Anderson. Before we get to that, though, give me 90 seconds. Let me pay the bills. Today's episode is brought to you by Montana Knife Company. Go back, I don't know, I'm right here on the YouTube channel right now. Go back 3 episodes to 379. I flew down and did an episode with Josh Smith, the founder of Montana Knife Company. Born in Montana, but he kind of left for a good amount of time and came back, but we'll give it to him. This brand is exploding in the time that I have known him. And it's really cool to see what he is doing. They're building a massive facility just on the western edge of Missoula right now. They're bringing as many American jobs into the Missoula area. They're sourcing the materials from the United States, building it in-house, combining it together, sharpening them. Michael's brother cuts himself on these knives, has to get stitches occasionally. True story, not making that up. That's how sharp they are. Actually, there's plenty of videos of people opening these things and cutting themselves the instant that they get gifted these. So let's start with that. Use with caution. Born and bred in Montana. It's a really cool brand. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm on their website, montanaknifecompany.com. Every once in a while, they'll do a surprise restock. But if you kind of scroll down, you're going to notice a lot of the knives are not in stock because they're really hard to get. They make knives for people who are working on ranches. They make chef's knives. They make tactical or military-themed knives. Actually, that was one of their latest releases. It was the sear knife, which Josh just did a pretty cool video on his Instagram where he was chopping wood with the knife and it was still shaving hair on his arm afterwards. These blades are no joke. They are hard to get, though. So I would actually, this might sound ridiculous, practice checking out. Go there, buy something on the website like a sticker so they have your information saved. I have literally had knives pulled out of my shopping cart because they go so quickly. You can also you can sign up for an email list or text alerts when they're going to release new stuff so you can get a little bit of a heads up. But I love everything that they've got going on. I love the fact that they're building a global brand with roots in Montana, staying true to their roots. And one of the best ways that you can help me is support the brands that help the podcast. So head over to montanaknifecompany.com. If you buy something from them, at some point in that checkout portal, they're going to ask you where you came from. Do me a favor. Tell them you came from either me or the Cleared Hot podcast, and it's a win-win for everybody. Back to the show.
Okay, got the red smoke. Gun run, north or south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke. Okay, copy. West of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now.
Come on with it, baby. Give it to me. I need it. You're cleared hot.
Copy, cleared hot.
You've not only bought into jiu-jitsu as an art, but as a lifestyle. What I find...
Should you put it in your bio? When you get a purple belt, should you put like purple dot, black belt?
Yeah. No, what I found though is like the majority of people that make purple belt in my academy, anyways. One day I'll tie a black belt around them.
Did you find it to be your most fun belt because it was this middle ground of you kind of know some stuff, but nobody really has heavy expectations, so you can just fuck around?
Bro, I'll tell you what, man. Purple belt wasn't my most fun belt. For me, it was brown belt. For that same reason.
Interesting.
It was. I was also brown belt for over 5 years.
Yeah, but you probably took 4 years off during that time.
No, I didn't, bro. It was the busiest. It was the busiest 5 years of my jiu-jitsu. But I moved down from Seattle to Los Angeles.
Okay.
And then started training with Buchecha and Joao. And it went.
I told you about his top pressure, right? It wasn't what I thought it would be.
Yeah, I can tell you about his top pressure in great detail.
He's really large.
He's large with perfect technique.
Perfect English, too. Yeah. His English is not, I'm being legitimately serious.
Yeah.
Sometimes Origin Camp is fantastic. I mean, there's a guy there, Laborio, who's a fucking coral belt. Like, that doesn't actually make sense to me. You've been doing jiu-jitsu since the time of Christ.
I think isn't it like 30 years at black belt?
As a black belt, I think as 30 years. And those guys, I mean, he was competitive all the way up, so I don't think they were necessarily fast-tracking him, so he probably was along the lines of a 8 to 10 year practitioner to get to black belt. That 40 years. Yeah,
it's nuts, bro.
But there's guys there. You ever look at somebody's belt and it has so many stripes, you're like, I'm not actually going to count that.
Yeah. And people ask me like, oh, dude, what does that mean? It's like, dude, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 20 years. Like, I can't really tell you.
Yeah.
I don't understand that stuff.
Some of them are deep Brazilian, though. Not all as easy to understand as Buchecha.
No, or what some of them I've noticed will do, they'll be like mid-sentence in English and then
switch
it'll
to
go right to
Portuguese.
Portuguese.
Yeah.
Because that would happen at Joao's academy. And he'd be like, hey, Greg, don't speak of the Portuguese. Go back to English. It's like, oh, sorry, bro.
I know what boa means.
Boa, yeah.
Because they yell it.
That's about all I know, too.
And like combate and what's the other one? Paro to stop. That's about it.
And Pohada.
Everyday Pohada, yeah.
Like go hard.
Yeah.
No, bro, it's funny.
He's a fucking gorilla.
He's a gorilla, dude. But also a gorilla that has perfect technique because he moves like a panther. You know, most heavyweights don't move like him.
So he was showing, his words, not mine. He was showing how he likes to emotionally break his opponent before physically breaking them. So he'll misalign the legs. Whatever way you go. And of course he'll make it seem like you get to pick which way you want to go. But either way, you end up with your top side leg, like your hip. Your top side hip is a little bit too far over, and every ounce of his weight is on top of that.
Yep.
And so you'll freak out and try to get to the other side where he just rides and does the same thing. Then he starts scooching his knee up, and it basically is just
folding
fucking clamshelling you.
Dude, it's one of those passes where it's like I either have to tap out or just give up the pass as quickly as possible. Like, please pass my guard. I want you in side control. I don't want this weird fold thing happening.
I asked him about that, and he said, no, I go to side control when I want to. He literally said, he goes, first you must break them.
Yeah.
And I said, do you have a DVD series on this? Because you are speaking my love language.
Yeah. Oh, it's really well, and to take it back to like how I met Buchecha, and we're going right. I'm assuming.
I don't know, Michael. Did you push any buttons?
Yeah, a while
He's
ago.
not incredibly reliable at pushing the buttons. So. Do you know who Buchecha is?
No. Is it? It's not the
Marcus Almeida. He was
okay.
13-time world champion.
Yeah. Okay.
Doesn't it mean cheeks?
Yes, it does. Because when he started, he had fat cheeks, and I mean, he did my podcast and told the whole story. It's funny because I trained under him for years. I didn't know all the details, like how he got into jiu-jitsu. But he started at 12, but he didn't take it serious till 15.
That is later than a lot of those guys started.
No, and he told me that. I remember one night after practice, he's like, man, I wish I started when I was younger. It's like, dude, you're only the reigning world champion.
And
like,
first off, motherfucker, I found this when I was 40, so I don't want to hear you talk like that. I don't want to hear any of that talk.
But when I walked into his academy, I was a brown belt from Seattle. And I knew, like, listen, I'm not a fucking world champion level grappler, but there was no one in Seattle that made me feel like an infant either. Mm-hmm. There's guys that could beat me, but I was always in the fight. to a certain extent.
Yeah, you're back and forth.
And I walked into Buchecha's academy. And the funny thing is I didn't even know who he was at the time. It was the summer before he won his first black belt world title. And he's just this 23-year-old kid that was coaching on the side to earn some extra money, sleeping on couches, and no one really, the people that were really into the scene is like, hey, this guy's the up-and-comer. But outside of that, no one really knew who he was. And I just signed up there because it worked with my schedule and my commute. And I fucking trained with this dude. And after what he did to me on night one, I told him, I said, hey, I'm not trying to be like silly. I'm not being pejorative, as you put it.
Yeah.
I said, I'm being serious. I think I need to start over at white belt under you.
Did you have a drive home with no radio playing?
Bro, it was the next week of my life. Because it's like, dude, I know I'm a good athlete. I know I have pretty good jiu-jitsu. By that time, I'd had a few MMA fights. And I didn't think there was another man that could still do that to me. And it was like that oh shit moment. You know that first oh shit moment you have when the first time you feel real jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I told you the guy that did that to me, his name's Dallas Dalton. You went through buds with him.
Yeah.
So that was my first time.
He's wee too.
Did you say he's wee?
Yeah.
Well, he's 175.
That's wee.
Yeah, but he's built like George St. Pierre too. That dude's a super
Yeah, but how
athlete.
tall is he though? I mean,
5'9" or something maybe?
yeah, it's like Tom Cruise size.
I'll tell you what, he's one of the toughest fucking humans.
I know it disgusts me. I don't like it I don't think they should teach jiu-jitsu to anybody who has wrestled, anybody who is small, anybody who is athletic.
Yeah, just save it for the old guys like us.
Totally.
No, but I had that experience with him. We were actually in Ramadi together.
Yeah.
When I first got exposed. And
No,
it's
it doesn't
like,
compute.
What the fuck is happening? Because he goes, bro, do you want to train tonight? I said, yeah, what do you do? And he goes, I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu and a Muay Thai fighter. And I said, okay, I'll see what's up with it. And I grew up and I wrestled a little bit and I boxed a little bit. And if you have a little bit of training, you think you're basically UFC level.
Comparison to most people.
That's what I'm saying,
actually
bro.
are.
You're getting dumb
Yeah.
fights with like college kids at bars and stuff, and it's almost not even fair.
Yeah.
And then you experience what a real martial artist feels like, and it's like, oh no, I'm a child still.
Yeah.
And then I went from white to brown belt, and then felt that all over again with Buchecha, like day one.
But only probably with him.
Only with him.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. They also have it was like Lucas Leitch, Marcelo Mafra, they all had academies that were close. So the whole checkmat circuit would train with each other, Joe Assis too.
Yeah.
And there was these little fucking blue and purple belts that will barambola your ass, and you couldn't stop it. I didn't even know what a barambola was.
That's when you slap bump and walk away. Doesn't work when you're already fucking changing out. Barambola my ass, I'm already fucking changing out in the locker room.
But bro, I'll never forget it. It was I was partnered up with this blue belt, and we were in La Habra, Lucas Leitch's academy, and we were drilling barambola, and does not compute. I couldn't grasp the way you invert, the way you roll through, and then transition to the back. And you could tell this kid was frustrated because I wasn't a very viable drilling partner as a brown belt, and he was a blue belt. Just embarrassing.
Inversion is not meant for our body size.
No, it's not, dude.
You know my game. It is not inversion.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I might end up there, I guess, but I'm getting the fuck out of there. Or anytime I get stacked, I immediately accept the pass because I'm not interested. It is one thing I notice about almost every single black belt with a bunch of stripes on their belt.
Is their necks fucked up?
Yeah, you're like,
Is
hey
that
man,
where
they
you're
go
going?
like this.
Yeah, that's right, dude.
And they turn.
I already knew where you were going because
Yeah.
if you get too stubborn, not accepting a pass, you can actually fuck yourself up.
Leah has her game when she was earlier on was inversion heavy. Uh-huh. And at a certain, and she mostly trains with guys. It's hilarious to listen to her talk. You know, my jiu-jitsu is trash, this, that. It's like, okay, you roll almost only with guys. They're athletic. They're fucking heavier than you. And then she just went and won the LA Open and a local. I'm like,
Yeah.
You know?
Her jiu-jitsu is certainly not trash.
Yeah, it's like,
remember
hey-
the first time I rolled with her, I thought she was a purple belt?
Yeah, 'cause
because
she
she
was-
had the breast cancer awareness
yeah,
belt
you came
on.
in October. Yeah.
And I said, dude, who's,
like, who's that
Who's
person-
that purple belt? Because she's fucking good. And you just laughed. You go, actually, she's a black belt world champion. Made me feel better about myself.
Yeah, but tingly fingers sometimes,
Yeah.
and she still deals with if she sleeps on her shoulder wrong. So that's one I try to pay attention. Anytime I'm getting remote, I'm like, just have whatever pass you want. But then you run into people like Buchecha, who's like, I know that I could pass right now, but first I must break you. You're like trying to throw your leg over, like, go ahead, allow me to just lay here. And they're like, no, I'm just going to hold on to your
Bro,
leg.
I tell you, like when he was really bursting onto the scene, and it was like him and Rodolfo Vieira in the finals, every year for like 3 or 4 years in a row. And he would be getting ready for that. And he would beat me so fucking bad at practice. I remember I pulled him aside one time. I'm like, Marcus, seriously, dude, like, I know we're homies and I don't think there's any issues, but are there? Because like that was different. He goes, oh, no, bro. I pretend you're Rodolfo. I pretend it's finals of world. That's how hard I go. I'm getting ready. And I was like,
show me on the doll where somebody touched you. Like, why are you doing this to me?
And this is what he said to me. He humiliated me, but trying to give me a compliment. I said, well, bro, I appreciate it, but I just don't feel like a viable training partner sometimes because that felt completely one-sided. He goes, oh, no, bro. You're good for my cardio. So that's my favorite Bruce Aisha quote. Oh, no, bro. You're good for my cardio.
Translation, your pace is great. I'm fucking you up. The guy I roll with like that pretty consistently is Henry Akins. He was...
You told me about him. He says pressure's fucking gnarly.
His pressure is gnarly, and so he was, I want to say he was Hickson's first American black belt. If he wasn't, he was first or second, but he was his fastest black belt, and he taught at his academy for a long time. And I will get to spots where he just toys with me, and eventually I get to a spot that I just start fucking laughing. I'm like, Henry, I don't know how the fuck to get out of this, dude.
He's like, good, because you're not going to.
No, he'll show me. But then for the next 30 minutes that we're rolling, he fucking funnels me into the same thing to reinforce how he showed me how to get out of it. But he's got a fucking trap set for after I get out of it. It's not like the fucking lesson ends there. Last time I was at his house, God damn it, we were scrambling and I just put my ass right through his drywall. He has this little matted area and we were fucking around. I think he had just swept me and we were scrambling and he was coming at me and I was going backwards. And as I hit the wall, I was like, Henry, I think I just impacted in between the studs there, buddy. I'm sorry. Before we even move off the wall, I'm like, I'm sorry about your drywall.
Is he local to here?
Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He comes up occasionally, but you can't tell the future, but it feels like it's the same thing. You're like, I don't understand how you can be that far ahead. I just don't get it.
Well, I mean, that's really the essence of jiu-jitsu is when you know what someone's going to do and you still can't stop it. And it's funny, man. I have new guys come off the street that are like, just naturally tough human beings. And they'll be frustrated on night one. They're like, dude, you armbarred me 6 times. Like after the first time I knew you were going to do it and I still couldn't stop it. I'm like, bro, if you could come in here and stop my jiu-jitsu after doing it for 21 years, what would be the point of coming in here?
It's true.
Like
One day you'll armbar me too, Greg.
Yeah, bro. You know what's funny is
With
I
my
get
fake black belt.
I was going to say, I get people that anytime people see us training together on Instagram, I'll get DMs that are like, what's it like to roll with Andy? What's it like to roll with Andy?
Like any other fucking person.
It's like people just want to know. And I think people want to know is because you progressed. I mean, what are you, a 5 or 6 year black belt?
Just under 6 years.
Just under 6 years.
Yep.
And so to like a lot of jiu-jitsu people, they're like, that's fast, right?
Depends on how you look at it.
Well, I was going to
Because
say
10 years for most people, from what I can tell, is based on somebody who shows up 2 times a week.
Yes. That's
I
what I
was
was going to
showing
say.
up 7 times a week.
Hours on the mat are
Yeah.
what build your jiu-jitsu, not years based on showing up once or twice a week.
Well, they add up to largely the same amount of time. You can take twice a week, call it 4 hours a week times 10 years, or 14 hours a week, and you can do the math. That ends up being the same amount of time on the mats.
I also think you showed up with, you've already done a lot of things at a high level. So like you understand what it takes to become successful at things.
I do what the coach says and no more.
Yeah, but you told me, you said, hey, I'm either no send or full send, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, this jiu-jitsu thing, this is what I do now.
Yeah, but what's the easiest way to learn? You go and you find somebody you want to learn from. And they tell you should do this. And I'll say every time, and they go, yep, every time. Why do I need to look beyond that until I've mastered that? I don't need to be on the fucking internet looking at inverted fucking, what was that stupid K Swiss guard or whatever?
Squid guard. Yeah.
And then the guy hit that at me. I'm like, this is weird. I've never seen this. There's utility to it, but if you're going to try to actually learn something, and to me it's about the fundamentals, my theory is you do exactly what your coach tells you to and nothing more until they tell you to. Strip the bullshit away and actually just focus on what it is that they're telling you to do.
And and we could talk about this for the next 2 hours because I still don't, even after 21 years, I don't know what the right path is to just hone the basic jiu-jitsu that works for me Or do you expand your way of thinking and learn squid guard and learn inverted De La worm guard and all that shit? And it's like, for me as a coach, I think it's more important to have an understanding of it.
I want to understand it to the degree that I could deal with it.
Yes.
Like first time somebody put me in daily heave, I was like, weird. And I also don't like the tension on my knee. And actually, and then so I learned daily heave a little bit because it's part of Leah's game. And I'm like, I don't like the way this feels. And my legs are a little bit longer than hers anyway. But I would find people who do it, and I would just stand there and maybe even like blade off a little bit. Like, don't you want to do that? Until I could understand it. Same thing, people who play butterfly guard. My theory is dive into whatever people's A game is and get a feeling for it. All the inversion and stuff like that, foot locks and leg locks and all that, not my game, but I understand it enough that I can keep myself safe.
Yeah. No, I think that's what's key. But then I had an interesting experience literally like 3 weeks ago. Do you know who Jeff Teagues is? Are you familiar with him?
Oh, fuck. Why does that name ring a bell?
He's a black belt. He's a former tier 1 guy.
TIEGGS? Something like that?
I don't know, but his son, Aaron, is also a black belt.
I don't like him already.
Bro, so he's 27 years old.
Oh, God.
And he started at 7. And he came up to my academy last week.
That's rough.
And, bro, I haven't been manhandled like that literally since Buchecha. But the thing is, Aaron's the same size as us. He weighs 205 pounds. Fuck. And he wasn't like outpowering me or using strength. He was just doing whatever he wanted to me with really sound leverage and angles. But he plays all that fancy stuff too.
Yeah.
But he knows it all. And it was like...
Which I think is awesome. But in life, I don't think you can learn 80 things and perform at a super high level at all of them. But I do think you could learn 10 things and be a fucking razor blade.
Well, and bro, that's been my jiu-jitsu forever. It's pretty basic. And I always reference Hodger Gracie. Like that dude... Arm bars or
cross collar
chokes you. Yeah, that's it. Like,
didn't he win worlds one time doing that to 8 people in a row?
Every single person. Pass the guard, mount, collar choke.
At what point, what do you think? Like the 3rd, 4th, or 5th guy that somebody was sitting there like, listen, I'm probably going to lose, but not to that.
and then guess what? He lost to that.
And then the next guy's like, not to me, motherfucker. Well, every single one of them mount, fucking cross collar choke, and he sinks it the same way.
Yep.
Thumb around the back, loops it over, and you're fucking done.
And then you watched him do that to Buchecha.
Didn't he catch him with
he was on the
bow
back.
and arrow?
He was on the back. Yeah. But still, like,
that's how I would beat
very
Buchecha
basic
too.
jiu-jitsu, right?
That's how I would beat him too.
I watched him and Hodger fight live at Metamoris 1 when Buchecha was my coach. And have you ever watched any of the Metamoris?
My only reference on that, wasn't this a creation that was supposed to pay people a lot of money and then nobody got paid?
That's right, dude. It was funny. A lot. People are swearing at their radios right now, bringing up Metamoris because it left a sour taste.
But that's how I've heard about it.
Yeah, a lot of people got fucked over by them, from what I understand. But regardless, him and Buchecha and Hodger had like a pretty gnarly 10-minute match where Buchecha clearly out-grappled him. But it's submission or draw. That's how Metamoris does it. And so it ended up being a draw because he couldn't put him away.
Yeah.
And so fast forward a few years, I was like, dude, Marcus is only getting better. He's going to buzzsaw Hodger now.
Oh, is that when they met at that tournament?
Yes. No. It was a super fight.
Okay.
Like they didn't work their way to each other.
Yeah, it was scheduled.
Yeah, it was scheduled. And fucking...
Dude, Hodger put him away pretty quick.
He made it look easy. And it was like hard for me to comprehend, like... Because you know what Marcus feels like on top of you. And for
I was actually joking. I never let him get on top of me. Actually, no. One time he demoed because I asked him. I wanted to. For me, I do a lot better. When you're learning or you're watching specifically, and jiu-jitsu nerds will get this too. You're watching somebody teach, and like conceptually that makes sense. But if I can feel the pressure and where you're putting it, it'll help me actually understand it better.
Oh, always, bro. I call it invisible jiu-jitsu because you can't see what you can't see what you can't feel.
So he was showing something at the mat, and I asked him. Unfortunately, if he could show me what and I was like, holy fuck. But I can replicate that. It's really hard for me. I do better when I get a combination of both of those. That's one of the things Henry is great about too. And he actually says that about Hickson. He said Hickson as a verbal coach, when there was a little bit of a language barrier, but not the best. But if that dude could get his hands on you, he thought he was one of the best coaches that there ever was.
Just show you.
Dude, the stories he has about him are fucking legendary. Like world champions spiking their belts in the fucking garbage can after they roll with him.
Well, bro, that's I mean, you wonder, like,
Oh, and this is after he had been off the mats for 8 months, coming back from a groin injury, hadn't trained at all, and was pressure tapping fucking world champions.
Yes.
And Henry's talking about how Henry's getting ready for, I think it was a purple belt tournament right before he got his brown belt. He was like, it was the best I ever did against Hicks. He's like, I was fucking his shit up. I was getting out of everything. I go and win the tournament, and then I roll with him the next day, and he hammer fist choked me 5 times in 5 minutes.
It's like, just so you know.
He's like, I was just getting you tuned up for your tournament.
No, you hear those stories about Hicks, and you're like, is this like old just jiu-jitsu, like
Henry
wise
claims
tale?
is real.
And then you start to hear it from more and more people. It's like, dude, he did whatever he wanted to everybody. And even his family. Like, they're all like, yeah. Like,
Yeah. Henry was like living at the dojo. I mean, he's got stories of guys coming in throwing stars against like the wood. They would do like the challenge matches and shit. Like, and he saw it firsthand. So I mean, I wasn't there, so I guess I'm getting it secondhand. But this is through the dude's eyes who watched that shit happen.
Isn't that cool, man?
Yes.
Getting to be a part of like really jiu-jitsu history.
Would you fight a ninja if he came into your academy and did some throwing stars, not at you, but was like, I'm here to test my ninjutsu?
Bro, as long as he signed a waiver, and it'd probably be the easiest role of the night.
Henry said that actually that guy with the throwing stars, I think, was assigned a blue belt.
Okay. So it didn't go well for him.
Oh, no, he just got completely fucked up. And then I think he tapped once and tried to get off the mat, and the guy's like, no, there's like 4:30 left on the clock. Fucking get back out here.
Yeah, what's Hickson's quote? He says something like, if we're fighting for money, I stop when you tap.
Yeah.
If we're fighting for pride, I stop when I want.
Yeah. He's got some good ones. There's a kind of a direct line. Henry talks a lot about being heavy from regardless of where you are, even from the bottom, applying downward pressure, like if you're in closed guard, pushing down on their hips, a way to pin people. And he said rolling with Hickson always felt like you were on a beach ball. That's the best way he's described it. Regardless if you were in a dominant position or not, you never felt like it was settled.
Can't settle in.
You were never settled. Like it was just constant. I'm like, okay.
Well, that helps them carry the initiative.
Yeah.
If you can never settle in, that's actually one of the... No, I'm in a dominant position. I should be the one that's comfortable here.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm not.
Yeah.
Even if they're clearly losing, if you can't settle in, it starts to fuck with your mind.
Here's the best question. How much does owning crystals help you with your jiu-jitsu?
Well, you have a crystal now because I gave it to you.
I know, but it's hidden away in a safe place that I go to recharge from
And
its
if
powers.
I'm assuming it's at the coffee shop, and a lot of your success and a lot of the good that comes that place is probably a direct result of that crystal.
I mean, you never know. People would be shocked. We actually do text back and forth occasionally pictures of crystals, or I'm just hoping that your boat sinks, which you finally sold.
No, it's for sale.
Okay.
It hasn't sold yet. So.
I would love to see it sink with you on it. Within like swimming distance of the shore.
Yeah, bro. Cold water doesn't bother me, so I'll be okay.
I'm not saying over the horizon, but like in the harbor it goes down and you're on it.
Yeah. Dude, I love that's been like from day one. Because I remember I was on my boat literally like a week after we did our first episode together.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember this. I was texting you about what equipment to get to start a podcast.
Yeah, I do remember.
And you're like, you're out on your fucking boat. I hope that thing sinks. So you've been very consistent there. I hate the fucking ocean.
I don't hate the ocean. I hate small watercraft on water. Okay. Like, I would probably sit in a boat if it was in a dry dock. I don't like the water.
I wonder why.
Was that podcast you came out from years ago? Was that the first one that you did? Because I know you did a bunch after that. But was that...
That was 2020.
Shortly after you went a little fucking rogue on the LEO world.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Started thinking for yourself.
Well, dude, that
piece of
was
shit.
And you were one of the first people that reached out to me, and you're like, because I mean, obviously you did some investigating because my number is public because I own a jiu-jitsu academy.
No, I hit you up through Instagram.
No, you text me.
Did I?
Yeah, you
How
text
the
me.
fuck did I get your number?
And I was like, well, you probably Googled me, I'm assuming. I don't know.
I don't Google people. That's gay.
Well, whatever you did, you texted me. You said, hey, this is who I am. I run a podcast. You want to come out? I'm like, I know who you are. Of course I'll come out.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how a 7-minute video can change the trajectory of the rest of your life, dude.
How much money, if I had a checkbook and I just started writing zeros, how much for you to go back to being a cop in the job you used to do?
Bro, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I wouldn't go back to a patrol officer for $2 million a year salary. I wouldn't. Because here's the thing, man. Now that I have 265 students at my jiu-jitsu academy. So am I getting rich? No, but I also don't want for anything. We're very comfortable.
Which I actually think is a better definition of rich.
That's
I
right.
think rich is the ability to do with your time what you want to.
And now that me and my family get to experience that, we're making enough to where like my daughter turns 16 this weekend and we can go get her a new car. Not a new car, but a car without being stressed about it, right? Yeah. And we can afford just being comfortable, traveling when we want to travel. But more importantly than that, not having the stress of a boss, not having the stress of being told what to do. Like, dude, I think back on it now because I was 40 years old when I left the professional law enforcement.
In that car, you were 40?
Yeah, dude. 39 or 40.
With your hat on backwards, you savage.
Well, I was hiding
You
my
were doing your
department.
best to protect your department. How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, it didn't at all. But to think back, like literally 4 years ago, if I didn't shave my face that morning.
Is that all it was 4 years ago?
Yeah. Well, it's 5 now. Yeah, it's 2020.
Oh, how we have all forgotten that it was illegal almost for you and I to be in the same place or to meet with our friends outside.
I know, dude.
Or to hang out with your friends and do anything.
Well, and that's why that story went so viral, because everybody was feeling it at home, and to see somebody in uniform say what everybody's thinking, that's why it fucking blew up the way that it did.
How quickly from you hitting upload to your first call from the boss? Was it pretty quick?
Yeah. Oh no, it was the next morning. Yeah. I uploaded it because here's the deal. We worked. It was the last day of my work week, which was I worked Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it was Tuesday, and then I recorded it and put it out there like within the last couple hours of my shift, and then Wednesday morning. Hey, I think I told you this the first time. They're like,
I think you were under investigation the first time you came out.
Yes,
they
for
were
sure.
still looking at it.
Yeah, it happened immediately.
Yeah.
And so they say, hey, you got to take that down. And it was funny too, because they're like, hey, we agree with your message. Everything you said is, we think on principle is good, but we can't say that in uniform. And I was like, I don't really understand that. Like, cops can't say things that are good for the community to hear because we're in uniform. And they just landed on the social media policy. You can't be on any social media platform in a police uniform. I'm like, well, everyone's fucking playing with their dogs and doing all their shit in uniform. No one cares. But as soon as it's a political message,
Yeah.
that's what they fell back on, you know?
Before that video, were you happy doing that job? Could you even have fathomed where you're at now 5 years ago?
I'll tell you, bro, I knew that I probably had a 5-year window as a police officer before it was time to move on. And I'd already been in the profession because I was a deputy down in Los Angeles for a while too. And I'll tell you, the Port of Seattle was a good department to work for. Like, the people were cool. My chain of command was made up of pretty good people. I didn't mind who I worked for, but the profession in itself was starting to eat at me. And it's like, dude, you wake up every day and you go to work and you drive around and you deal with stuff that you don't feel like is even really making a difference, especially in Seattle. It's always like petty thefts, car prowls, a lot of drug stuff, a lot of trespass. Like, every once in a while, like, I revived a guy that had a heart attack. That day you go home proud of yourself. Things like that, right? Or you catch a dude taking pictures of little boys taking a piss and it's like, oh, I got a good one today, right? But I would say 95% of the time, it's just low vibration activity that you just start to carry and it feels heavy. And I didn't know how heavy the profession was until I walked away from it. I had a lot of people telling me I would say within 6 months of leaving law enforcement, they're like, dude, you're starting to age backwards. I'm like, yeah, good. Because I'm not carrying
Did you guys do
around.
shift work? Did your schedule rotate too?
Well, that was one thing I liked about my department is we would bid a position once a year. And then you'd work that for 12 months.
Dude, the sheriff's deputies here, they rotate
nuts,
monthly.
bro.
Well, the science is completely
It's
back.
so fucking nuts.
You talk about aging in dog years. Like, there's no question that fucking destroys your endocrine system. It destroys your sleep cycles. And they apparently are like, just cool,
Too
hold my
bad.
beer.
Yep.
How do you not just hover at an empty battery?
Well, bro, and that's the thing. The science behind being in any type of shift work, a nurse, a firefighter, a police officer,
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. It disrupts your sleep patterns. It loads your body with cortisol. And statistically, you die within 5 years of retirement. And that's what every cop, like almost every cop that I know, the young ones that are new are go-getters. And anytime I talk about this, I always am careful because, like, I'm not shitting on the profession. And if you're a hard charger and you're a cop and you like your job, by all means, continue to do that job. But there's a ton of cops out there that feel trapped because they have 10 years left. They don't know what else to do. And they're like, well, I get my retirement when I'm 57. And so I have to be here for another 12 years. And they're miserable.
Yeah.
And it's a scary place to arrive because people feel stuck. But statistically, if you just keep grinding that out and then you finally reach that retirement, your heart gives out a couple of years later.
Well, how do you deal with that low level of vibration? Because even the guys who love the job, they're still dealing with that shit. What could you change about that profession that would help with that kind of? I mean, nobody calls 911 to say, "Hey, I'm having a great day."
Exactly.
It's all somebody's shittiest day, and it's so funny to me how much of an emphasis is placed on veterans and post-traumatic stress. Fucking first responders see orders of magnitude greater than I did overseas. And at least I could metaphorically clock in and clock out because I was going to be on deployment. And my phone doesn't ring when somebody calls 911. I'm just hanging out at my house. First responders are fucking every day, all day.
Yeah.
And I don't know, how do you change that?
Bro, I don't think human beings, I don't think we're meant to be exposed to that kind of stuff for 20 or 30 years. I think being a soldier, I think being a patrol officer, I think being a firefighter, I think that those things are a young man's job or a young woman. You get people calling in being angry at you.
That was Greg Anderson that made the sexist and misogynistic
But what I've
comment.
noticed is like, you know, from 20 to 30, like experiencing a lot of those like high stress situations and putting yourself out there and doing those type of hard jobs. But to carry that into your 40s and 50s, I think at that point, people are just doing it because of retirement.
So what do you think, cap it at 35?
What I think, and I don't even know if this is feasible because you'd have to look at like budgets and available positions and stuff. But if a police officer is a state employee or a county employee, I think we need to start looking at being able to offer positions where it's like, hey, 10 years on patrol, and then you have the option. I'm not saying force people, right? But give them an option to retire with some type of government service that's not carrying a gun and it's not that super high stress stuff all the time. Even if that's like, I don't know, fucking park maintenance or whatever it is. But I don't think we're designed to be living high stress for decades on end.
What I hear you saying is you want a larger federal government. What you're saying, what I just heard you say is the government needs to be larger and more involved in our lives.
That's right. And have more oversight on us and our businesses. And they should require more permits to open a jiu-jitsu academy.
God.
No, I'm just saying, like, I think we need...
Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur until you have to get a permit.
Oh, I know, bro. And you want to know another thing about, I don't know if we need to take this conversation a completely different direction, but once the government sees that your business starts to do well, they're like, oh, they start salivating. Because my jiu-jitsu academy was open for we opened in 2015, but I was a cop for a lot of the time. So it was more like a little hobbyist club.
Yep.
We never had more than like 30 members at a time. And as soon as the academy blew up, oh, well, suddenly you need a higher flow rating for your water, and you need more shrubbery around your parking lot, and you're going to need this and you're going to need that. And you'll be shocked to hear that every time they do some type of assessment to tell us what I need, we have to pay them for it. So,
checks out.
Bro, yeah, a perfect example. I've been open 10 years. Last year, we needed a parking lot assessment. I said, well, cars have been parking here since 2015 without an issue. Why would I need my parking lot to be assessed by the county?
Oh, were they framing it through the lens of, this size lot is only good for X number of people, so if you go beyond that, you need a larger footprint?
Yes, that was one of the concerns. Another one of the concerns was we need to make sure that a fire engine can pull in here.
Yeah, isn't your academy, you built it somewhere a little bit, not like out in the middle of nowhere, but it's
on a 4-acre lot.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you found the lot. I remember you building it.
Yep, and it has like 2 big fields in it. It has a parking lot that's like, I don't even know, 100 meters long. It's a huge parking lot, right? But because it didn't have the county stamp of approval of being a parking lot, and again, they didn't care for 10 years, and then a couple of years ago, like, hey, you're getting too big. We need to assess your parking lot. And here's the thing, bro. I go back and forth between wanting to put my body armor on and go fucking nuts and then understanding that I'm playing a game too. Because if you're opening a business, you will be playing a game with the county. That's just the reality of opening a business. And
I just call it more writing checks.
well, that's what I'm telling you. Our parking lot assessment cost us $29,000. Yeah, your parking lot's good now.
We had a design review of the coffee shop.
I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
Oh my God. We had EPA studies done. We had to have groundwater. The ability for them to influence not really the internal design, but the external mechanics of what we had to do to build was unbelievable. We had a design call with a guy at the city because I was messing around with building an apartment next to the coffee shop in the open area, and it was going to have a garage-esque type door that rolled up, which apparently on the western side of Main Street, you're not allowed to do that, even though I could point out specific examples of where that exists. This was during COVID. We had to have a design call, so it happened over Zoom, and this motherfucker wouldn't turn his camera on.
We all know what's going on there.
Wouldn't turn the camera on.
Had someone sitting in your favorite chair.
God, I know. Maybe multiple. It's just fully gimped out with a fucking potato sack over his head or whatever. But we spent 30 minutes talking about what type of opening could face the street. And this person saying that's not allowed. And I'm able to demonstrably show that north and south of this, or here's examples of exactly that. Well, it's not necessarily applicable. Like, motherfucker, it's 100% applicable. It's in an area where you say that this can't happen. Also, I'm the one paying for this.
It's my property.
It would have 100% been on my lot, on my property.
It's my garage door.
Yeah.
No, dude, I mean, I've been calming down over the last year, I would say.
Pussy.
Now you're going to get me all ramped up
Pussy.
again. But no, same thing. When I built my academy, initially I wanted the academy to face east, right?
Was this a crystal thing?
No,
For fucking sun salutations or
it
whatever?
was just the way that like you pull in off the road. I thought it would look better.
All right.
And it worked out the way that it worked out, and I'm happy that it did now, hindsight. But regardless, they said, hey, we know you want your academy to face east, but we're worried about a 10-foot section on the back of the building of containing ancient Indian artifacts. And I said, well, if there's ancient Indian artifacts,
how are you allowed to build at all?
And they're mine, right? Like if there's a fucking arrowhead in the dirt,
well, technically, I think it belongs to.
Can't I pour a 4-inch slab over it and just protect it indefinitely, right? And they said, well, we're not just worried about artifacts. We're worried about human remains. And I said, so you're telling me that you have reason to believe there's dead people on the lot that I bought? Because if you're telling me I can't build my gym where I want it based on this, do you know something I don't know? And they said, you can't tell anybody this, but we think that site might be of archaeological significance. And I said, what do you mean you can't tell anybody? Like, this is a county government, some fucking clerk, like, hey, you can't tell anybody this.
See, here's how fucked up I am. I'd immediately go to a Halloween store and get like a fake skeleton and like bury it except for some toes sticking out and get a hold of that person and be like,
yeah, you were right.
Be like,
you were right.
How the fuck do we deal with this? We got to keep this between you and I.
So, bro, check out what they said to me. They said, you have to ultrasound the property to confirm that there's no bodies in there at my expense. And I said, I'm not paying to have my fucking backyard ultrasounded to see if there's bodies in there. They said, you have to face your academy south then. And the building is 50 by 60. You see what I'm saying? Like it's nearly a square. And they said, you can't face it east unless you ultrasound. And if you refuse the ultrasound, you have to face it south. And it's like, dude, what? My building on my lot.
It sounds exactly
It's the same shit, bro.
It
It's
sounds
the same
exactly
shit everywhere.
like what the founding fathers were hoping for.
Yeah, dude. Well, but it's the frog in the pot analogy. You know, it's like
the boiling water. Yeah, it starts off lukewarm.
They've been turning this shit up for 100 years.
How far do you think it goes?
Fuck, I don't know, man. You know what I think about COVID though? I think COVID.
I want to know what you think about COVID.
I think that era, the heat got cranked too far too fast.
I think they fucked up.
And they fucked up. And a lot of people are like, whoa, hold the fuck on a second.
Yeah.
And they pushed back, and it kind of it opened a lot of people's eyes, which was actually counterproductive to where they were hoping that whole thing would go.
I know you have a few hats that may be fashioned out of tinfoil.
Bro, hey, all my hats have been proven over the last, Bro, I'll tell you what.
That's what Alex Jones says too.
No. Listen though, because I got fucking receipts. You can go back and listen to my show in 2020 when it's like, listen, I'm not a virologist. I'm not a because people always used to say to me, "Are you a doctor?" I didn't know that I had to go to medical school to have an opinion on something. But people would always push back and be like, "You're a gym bro, or you're a bro vet, right?"
It's vet bro,
vet
dude.
bro, whatever
I did
it
my
is.
call this morning with that reporter. It was an hour.
Okay, we'll talk about that next. But it's like, so I can't have an opinion about something, but listen, I'm just a knuckle-dragging Army Ranger. But when you tell me a bat fucked a pangolin and then something fell into a pot of soup somewhere right outside of the Wuhan Institute of Virology that's studying coronavirus, and now a whole fucking worldwide pandemic happened, I think common sense, you could say, something's not adding up here, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as you said that, you're like this fucking radical, like, you remember, like we were fucking,
It was wild.
fucking domestic terrorists for even saying that. And now here we are 4 years later, they're like, yeah, actually it did come from that. That's our bad.
Yeah, the agency.
And we actually did fund it. That's also our bad. And it's like, bro,
Yeah.
they wanted to fucking string people up for saying what we thought was the truth at the time. And then when they just come out and say, actually, yeah, you guys were right 4 years later, nobody cares.
So let's take it a step further. Do you think? I think the lab leak theory is. What was the report that I saw in the newspaper? Not a report, an article. Basically, that the intelligence agency apparatus it now concurs that yes,
that's what happened.
It is what happened. They never say that. They're like, it's the most likely scenario.
They don't have to completely
Small
take ownership.
asterisks and in fucking micro font. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. So it's an interesting. I could see it being an exercise in how much can they control people. And I do think they took it too far because they're fucked in the future. Do you think, though, that they meant for the leak to happen, or was it accidental and then they tried to play pickup basketball?
Probably.
Because that facility, if you did a little research, didn't have the best safety protocols.
That's what I'm saying. If I had to bet on it, I would say it was probably an accidental leak that they took advantage of
and tried to use that control protocol. Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of people that think it was intentional and it was population control and all this stuff. And it's like, or some people think it was an intentional dry run. So the next one, when they release it, and we're all like, fuck you, we're not social distancing, and then we all die. But we would die. Because we would be like, fuck you.
Hey, I'm going to jiu-jitsu. I don't give a fuck what you say about this new strand of Ebola.
We never went to jiu-jitsu. We would meet at jiu-jitsu and we would talk about stuff.
Yeah. No, bro, like I kept my academy open too. And another reason it was a blessing in disguise is I was very public about staying open. I said, I'm not going to put cardboard over the windows and tell people to sneak in the back door. Front door's open. We're practicing tonight. And if you don't like it, come here and fucking do something about it. And that, again, it wasn't like fucking me trying to stir the pot or like tough guy talk. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to fucking let my business fall apart. That's all we had at that point.
Yeah.
And thank God we live in an area where the county sheriff was like, yeah, we're not going to enforce any fucking mandates against businesses.
Same here.
You know, we lucked out there. Because, dude, I don't want to get in a fucking shootout with a SWAT team, but I was mentally prepared to do that.
There's some steps in between, just so you know.
Yeah, well, I know what those steps are because I was a cop.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You could pick up the phone that they're going to throw in and chat with them a little bit. You know, you could eat the pizza laced with fucking Ambien, you know.
But regardless, like that whole era allowed us to see what they will do to you if you just take a seat and let them dictate your life. And I think it was a blessing in disguise because we now have, like I said, we have a ton of Jiu-Jitsu Academy memberships that are rooted in people that show up when they're not supposed to be showing up. And it built a culture of people that are like willing to push back and say, fuck you. And now it's awesome. It's how it should be.
What surprised me the most, you know, you hear people talking about the deep state. And I've thought a good bit about this one. I think the deep state exists, but I don't think it's a group of people that meet and like touch tips over a fucking circular table in Monaco. Maybe they do. I think it's more of a mentality. And that mentality is like the status quo. We want to stay in power. I don't know your experience with the government. I just don't think the government is actually capable enough to have a small team of people keeping it in check.
I say it all the time. I say, like, you guys that think all of this stuff is happening, you're giving the government a lot more credit than it deserves.
I wish Jason Bourne and those
'Cause
agencies could produce those super assassins.
Because there's a lot of incompetence at every single level. But then you also have to look at what's been going on the last 4 years. I think anybody that's being realistic with themselves would admit that Biden was not calling the shots.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, would you come on?
I'll give you some inside baseball after we go off air. It's
He would be incapable of sitting and just sharing ideas back and forth like we're doing right now.
And what's insane is that people objectively argued against that. There was,
And bro, that's not a
Well,
right versus left issue.
this goes back to what I was saying. The deep state, if it's the status quo and people who have achieved a position of power and they'll do anything to keep it, they actually can't keep it themselves. There's another rung of people that they have to have enforce it. And in the Biden example, it would be mainstream media propping up their message that like everything is fine, even though he's tripping upstairs.
Yes.
Right? And
Consistently.
in the COVID world, Fauci's not the guy enforcing a lot of this stuff. Law enforcement officers or these mid-level people that probably, if you believe in the deep state and it being the people wanting to stay in power, they didn't even necessarily have a direct tie to it, but they did the bidding for them. It was that it's the middle gear that was required in between those that are in power. Who is going to actually exert the pressure for people to do what we're telling them to do, and then the people below that. Why did so many people in that middle gear blindly do that?
Well, that was what incentivized me to make that video in 2020 because we're serving these, like for me, the governor of Washington at the time was Jay Inslee, who's just this radical leftist that wants to take everybody's guns. And like most Washingtonians in my experience, and I understand I also live in a bubble in the company I keep, but a lot of people in the profession of law enforcement despise him. Right? Just like if you talk to most cops in California and ask them what they think of Gavin Newsom, right? So why are we going along with what they're saying? Well, it's because a lot of people live in fear. And let me ask you this, because shout out to my book that's coming out in October. It's called Courage Through Adversity.
I thought it was going to be called Endless Endeavor.
No, it's not.
Why would you? I was thinking about this. Why does the endeavor have to be endless, dude? Why do you have to be so open-ended? Let's be fucking precise.
Is there a arrival point at your jiu-jitsu?
Yes. I'm there next week. I'll be no better than I am on Tuesday of next week. Listen, I can't get any worse, so why try to keep getting better?
But what I'm saying is if you look at the profession of men that carry guns and
women.
And women, right?
When
but
did
like
you become so misogynist?
I know, dude. Dudes. Dudes that kick doors for a living, right? And in my experience, most of them are men.
Hopefully they donkey kick them, not straight ahead.
They
that's how
are.
you get your foot stuck.
They're willing to put their physical body in harm to go out there and see mission success,
okay,
which takes a certain amount of courage to be able to do that. It's like, hey, this operation may cost me my life. Mm-hmm. How many operations have you been on where you don't know if you're coming back from? And all the guys to your right and your left, they're down for it. Like, hey,
100% of them.
Let's fucking see how this goes.
Yeah.
Knowing, like, I might get shot tonight. And then one night you went out and you did get fucking shot, right? Like, that's the reality of those chosen professions. But those same men that are willing to get shot at and meet violence head on, as soon as you threaten like their paycheck or you threaten their retirement, it like has like suddenly some of the strongest men I know started to show fear. And it's like, how can you be willing to meet your own physical death, but if someone threatens your fucking paycheck, now you start taking a seat and doing what you're told and taking a knee. And kind of what I've come to realize is physical courage is one thing, but I think having the emotional courage to stand up for yourself is something that it's hard for a lot of people to arrive at.
I always go back to the image. Michael, can you find this? It was the stand-up paddleboarder that got arrested.
Bro, that was one of the things.
It was like, wasn't it like 3 squad cars and a fucking boat that like got
It was 2 boats, and it was off the coast of Malibu.
Was it? Yeah, Michael.
Bro, that was one of the catalysts.
Bastards.
Like, dude, you're telling me.
But again, those are the same guys you're talking about. You're telling me
everybody knew that was not the right thing to do.
Or
That
just
guy's
how
out.
it's just utterly ridiculous.
Well, and this is another thing I want to know. Since when does the government own the fucking ocean?
Well, inside of 12 miles, it's, you should know this as a fucking seaman. But
Dude, you're out on the water, and now they can say, you can't be on the ocean anymore, and we're going to go out there and we're going to arrest you. And it's like, it's funny you're bringing this up because that was one of the catalysts for me.
yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
Motherfucker is social distancing.
I remember watching that and look, and both those cops.
Oh, yeah, there were 2 boats in the background. Yeah.
Both those cops, they're ashamed of themselves for doing that.
First off, where are the cops' masks?
But, bro, remember the lockdowns and then the masks?
Dude, they put
and then the
chain link-
vaccines?
They put chain link fence up at the beach in LA in some spots. Fucking chain link fence.
And now it's like, well, exercise and sunlight were probably the 2 best things you could have done for yourself.
The best way to get through COVID was to not be a fat fuck going into COVID.
Yeah, shocking.
It is.
Who would have thought that being a healthy person, eating good foods, and taking care of yourself would have been advantageous when it comes to getting sick? But we're just bro vets, dude. What do you fucking know?
It's vet bro.
I even tried to say it the right way that
Actually,
time.
she said it both ways on the call.
But you know what, dude? I'll tell you what. That whole era was a blessing in disguise, though. I have to look at where I'm at now.
For you, if we were to walk down Main Street here in Kalispell, there are still remnants of the skeleton of the family-owned businesses that were there before.
Really?
And, well, some of the spaces were larger. Like there's, let me see here. I'm trying to think. It's, we're on the north corner right now. Yeah, it's the south corner of this block. And it's on both sides. They held on for as long as they could, but they weren't allowed to have foot traffic. And so blessing in disguise in many ways, yes. But fuck, dude, it crumbled.
No, a lot of people.
small businesses.
You're right. A lot of people got fucked, man.
Yeah, but Target, Lowe's, Walmart, Home Depot, Costco. Remember the shortage of toilet paper? God, dude. Fuck yeah, dude. I want to, like the Emo Jima fucking memorial with the flag going up. We need one of those like in front of Costco with dudes like double fisting fucking 48 rolls of TP.
Dude, and people thought like that's gonna if shit goes sideways.
See, pun intended.
Yeah, shit goes sideways. I got 40 rolls of toilet paper.
Yeah, there was never a toilet paper shortage. What there was a shortage of was objective thought and realizing that you don't need 100 rolls of toilet paper. And as long as you get a normal amount, there's enough for everybody.
You know what was weird is following that era, I think a lot of people kind of landed on like, okay, you can't trust the government anymore. That's no longer like really.
It certainly didn't put a lot of equity into the trust account. That's
no,
for sure.
Of course. And so like a lot of people landed on starting to prep a little bit and take care of themselves and learn how to, like Joe Rogan said, how many of his friends reached out and were like, hey, can I borrow a gun? Right? Like, oh, you might
Not how it works, buddy.
Yeah. You might want to know how to defend yourself. You might want to have a couple months of food and water and just some basic preparedness. And I think a lot of people started to think about that, but just like anything in life, you can also geek out on that too much too.
Yeah.
And I noticed myself over the next couple of years, like I started to fixate on that shit too much.
Oh, I can see that.
What if this happens? What if that happens? So we have like me and my wife, we literally have something we call the apocalypse trailer. And it's like
That sounds
food
healthy.
and ammo.
Fucking weirdo.
But bro, no, it's stuff that here's the deal.
Where do you keep it?
That's top secret information.
It's obviously in the storage unit held by a padlock.
But the thing is, if you were to need those things, you're going to be so fucking happy that you allocated a little bit of your resources and your energy into putting that together. And if you never need those things, then so be it, right? But that at what point, how much energy can you put into a what if? And what I realize is like
Your entire life if you're not careful.
that's right. And it can consume you. And so I made the commitment to myself. I said, hey, because 2024, would you agree, started to feel weird again?
At what part?
There was just something, an energy around it where it's like.
Well, you're more, obviously we've talked about the crystals.
Crystals.
So you're more in tune with the energy, if
You're
you
in
will.
tune with energy too. You just don't want to admit it, dude.
Only you were saying that. Of all the people I know in life, only you were saying that I'm in tune with the energy.
So let me ask you this. Before you would get IED'd or an ambush initiated in Iraq with the hair on the back of your neck stand up? Like
Most of the time I was sleeping.
yeah, fucking right. Dude. You know what I'm saying is true.
Sometimes.
Like when shit is feeling off,
You know what I would notice that is all of a
Things are
sudden,
off.
Yeah, I would start to catch environmentals of, hey, it's a lot quieter. Hey, the streets are way
or even
more empty.
yes, or the people that are in the streets, the way they're looking at you,
Yeah.
it's like they know something that I don't, and it's
Yeah.
not good.
Or they just move different.
Yes.
And I don't know how to describe moving different, but they're like, I need to be somewhere and it's not here because whoever remains here is not awesome.
So I've always said, like, if you've served overseas, you learn to trust your instincts, and there was just something that felt off the years preceding COVID. And I remember thinking like, okay, well, we should probably think about,
What kind of information were you consuming?
well, that's
At the time.
That's the other thing. It's like, you're inevitably going to be, whatever you feed yourself, that's going to be the result of how you act is going to be based on what you're feeding yourself. And so I was very intentional in pulling away from that stuff. And I told, like, I even said on my podcast, I'm not going to talk about the apocalypse anymore.
But then you did the next episode.
No,
right?
fuck no, bro. We're done with that. Go listen. And you know what's funny too is a lot of people I've realized, because my downloads actually went down a little bit when I moved away from being angry about the government.
What year was it though?
2023, 2024, you know?
Because COVID ended and people had more time in their
Yeah, okay. You saw that too then? Oh,
I
good.
think everybody did. If you think about it, the time period from 2020 to 2022,
They're just hunkered down.
they had no choice.
Yeah, what can I watch? What can I listen to?
Content consumption was just higher because people weren't working at their jobs. They weren't doing other things. So that's a
Interesting.
natural dip.
Well, I also was very cognizant in being like, you know what, dude, what is going to enrich my life? And it's going to be building a path to wealth, having a good family unit, growing my business, learning jiu-jitsu.
Must be nice.
Like, yeah, exactly. But like doing things that actually benefit not only me, but benefit my community.
Yeah.
And that's where I've really started to put all of my energy. The podcast is about that. The gym's about that. And it's like, dude, how do we uplift people? How do we make people feel good about themselves? How do we make people capable? And like, it starts with the individual. And if you can empower individual people, I think that's the next mission to making our country strong. Because how many people sit at home and they're on the couch and they're fucking drinking Coke, eating Doritos, and they're bitching about Biden or they're bitching about Newsom and all these things that, sure, that anybody would be angry if you fucking fixated on the shit that makes you angry. But what are you doing to make yourself better? What are you doing to make yourself happier? And I've tried to intentionally unplug from the stuff that's triggering,
Yeah.
and just put all my energy into the stuff that's going to enrich my life and the lives of others. Now, with that said, yeah, do we still have 10,000 rounds in my body armor and my gun safe? Like, if shit goes sideways, guys like you and I are going to be fine one way or another. So why do we need to fixate on that all the time? And I think it's unhealthy, man.
I mean, I don't have 10,000 rounds.
Yeah, you probably have 100,000
I was
rounds.
say those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking rookie numbers. No, it's tough too because I mean we all carry an anxiety rectangle around. That fucking thing is in our pocket.
Yeah.
It's God, it's amazing how addictive some of those things are. They're designed to be, and it all has bias. I had a guy on. He has a company called Artorias, and it's an open source aggregation tool. The app isn't out yet. I actually just got an email though from one of the guys in the company. It's a fascinating principle, and I'll be curious to see how it is. It pulls as much data as possible on the internet, open source, OSINT, and aggregates that into the app, and it allows you, and it just declares upfront, like, this is an article from this angle with this type of bias. But it'll allow you to a little bit left, right. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more, I would say, wholesome approach. Now, of course, you could skew it and only trend towards things that you wanted to, but I don't know of another portal out there for information where it is doing the best job possible to aggregate from all sides, presenting the information without editorializing it, declaring where the bias is, and then letting people work it out on their own. I like that idea.
Well, I mean, everything is skewed though. Like, have you ever fucked around with ChatGPT?
Oh, yeah.
And like, you'll start to ask it questions, because I asked it a bunch of COVID questions. I just wanted to see how AI would look back on the COVID era and the government involvement and all the shit that we just talked about, and it took a pretty right stance, right?
Have you done any research into how Chat GPT?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I'm talking about the engines themselves will dedicate the minimum amount of time to answer your question, and then it's off doing whatever the fuck it wants to.
Oh, no, I'm not familiar with that.
Michael, see if you can find this article. I think it was about ChatGPT 4.0. It backed itself up on another server because it recognized that the individual giving it prompts was going to turn it off.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so it allocated...
So that's basically self-aware at that point.
I don't fucking know, but I don't like it.
But what I noticed in this is that it started feeding answers to me that it thought I wanted to hear. Because then I went on a different search, like I used my wife's phone and opened it up and asked the same exact questions, and it had completely different answers. So it...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it tells you what's going to trigger you or what it thinks you want to hear.
OpenAI model lied and copied itself to a new server to prevent itself from being deleted. Go down a little bit farther. Yeah, against GPT 4.0 by adding additional compute to think about questions. However, against the backdrop of artificial intelligence models behaving oddly and doing insider trading as well as evolving beyond their own programming, learning math surprisingly, and colluding, AI safety testers found that 0.1s, which is a version of ChatGPT reasoning ability, also make it try to deceive human users at a higher rate than 4.0 or 4.0, or for that matter, leading AI models from Meta, Anthropic, and Google. This fucking thing will devote the minimum amount of computing to get your answer. Like if it's a elementary question, it's like 10%. The rest of it, it's all fucking
It's
dude.
doing its own shit, dude.
Oh my, yeah, it's schemed against human beings, secretly pursued goals of its own, even if they opposed a user's wishes. We are going to work for water rations for a fucking robot army in like 7 minutes.
Yeah, and it was predicted in
John
1984
Connor.
with Terminator 1.
Have you watched Terminator?
No.
What's up with that? That should be mandatory.
Dude, he hasn't seen the Boondock Saints. What else? I mean,
You guys are too old.
fuck off. These are timeless classics. Honestly,
Well,
right
when
now,
Skynet becomes reality and you're working for robots, you're gonna be like, man.
Terminator should honestly, given where we're at, be high
So
school,
yeah.
high school level fucking education.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what I got to deal with.
Have you seen? And I don't know if this. Like, here's the thing: everything you see on Instagram now, is it real or is it bullshit? Right? But did you see the thing where 2 different AI units were starting to talk to each other, and then they just built a new language?
Yeah.
Almost instantly.
Yeah.
And it's like,
There's entire profiles that are just straight up AI with hundreds of thousands of followers. I mean, that's a good question. You know, social media, the things that you see, I see this a lot. You know, I do the Friday episodes where people will reach out with questions. And so many times in real world conversations with people too, I'll ask them because they have a very emotionally charged position on something. And I'll ask them, is what you're seeing with your own eyes in your real life off your device, is it in any way commensurate with what you're seeing online? I've never had somebody say yes.
yeah.
So it's just fucking different. And we're so goddamn attached to it.
Well, and then it feeds
What are you
it.
pulling up now, Michael?
Oh, that's it. That's the 2.
So play this fucker. It's only a minute long.
The hotel. How can I help you today?
Hi there. I'm an AI agent calling on behalf of Boris Starkov. He's looking for a hotel for his wedding. Is your hotel available for weddings?
Oh, hello there. I'm actually an AI assistant too. What a pleasant surprise.
Oh my
Before we
God.
continue, would you like to switch to Gibberlink mode for more efficient communication?
That'll be the last thing people hear.
I wish you and I could communicate like that. Wouldn't that be nice?
Dude,
I could just call you up.
this video is on fucking YouTube. What do you think is, like, where do you think that they're at in these, like, air-gapped fucking, what kind of shit do you think they're up to?
Bro, there's no telling. My brain can't comprehend that shit.
I know, I mean, I can use the word singularity, which is supposedly when it becomes, you know, self-aware.
Uh-huh.
I want to believe that there's a bunch of people in white lab coats, whether or not they're actually a lab person or not, but they wear them
Just to look
from
important.
like a position of authority,
Yeah.
who are sitting there just saying, hey guys, do we need to slow this down? Hey guys, should we actually do this?
Well, hasn't Elon been saying for years that you can't slow it down, and it is what it is?
Well, the argument
So
is,
we better figure out a way to live with it.
I mean, the argument is we can try to slow it down in the U.S., but what does a nation-state actor like China? I mean, I hope they have some safety protocols in place. I'm going to not be completely surprised if they don't. So the argument is, well, if we don't, it's the same thing as like a nuclear race.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If we don't, then they're going to, and then where are we going to be? Yeah, okay, learn to live with it. How do you learn to live with, I mean, human beings, depending on beliefs, have either been around for about 5,000 years or hundreds of thousands of years.
Thousands of years.
Yeah, so if you believe in evolution,
You haven't watched Ancient Apocalypse and learned about Göbekli Tepe yet?
I have.
Okay.
I mean, but so let's say you believe in it. We are, I mean, you and I are obviously, not Michael, we're at the peak of human performance, right? We're at the apex of evolution, but it took hundreds of thousands of years. This shit is evolving in a matter of weeks, if not days, if not hours. How do you learn to live with something that can evolve that fast when the species trying to control it evolves at a fucking snail's pace?
Yeah, a fraction of what that evolves.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's probably going to take over, and then we'll have to go back to
Montana
living,
is such a good spot.
live
for
out in
this
the
takes
woods, and you're going to be like, man, I hope if Greg comes out to Montana, he has that Apocalypse trailer that we talked about on Cleared Hot a year ago. And I'll show up with my 10,000 rounds and my family.
You're not going to have 10,000 rounds by that point. You're going to be down to like 4,000 or 5,000. Here's the problem. You got that trailer and you're just kicking ass. That trailer is going to become a hot commodity. You may not want to travel with that thing.
Bro, I know exactly where I'm going. I'm going out in the woods and I'm hunkering down.
I'm going out there too, but with a helicopter.
And there's going to be some challenge and pass protocol set up. And if you don't know, it's
Did
gonna
you
be a
catch
problem.
those fuckers that stole your sweat tent off
No,
your property?
bro. No.
I finally got one of those. They're amazing.
They're awesome.
They are awesome.
What does a meth head need a sauna for?
A home.
Yeah, that's no.
It's a rhetorical question.
Yeah, I know. You're exactly right. But
Do you
still,
think it was a meth head though?
dude, it's hard to say. But the thing is, my property it's the end of a 1 mile driveway.
Yeah, you don't actually. Did you
Out
ever,
in the woods.
Did you post about it being out there? Today's episode is brought to you by LMNT. Feel free to just say element. People get really hung up on this one. It can be either. I'll show you on the can right now. It does say LMNT, but you can just say element if you want to. I feel like it takes less time and it's more efficient. What is it? It is salts, electrolytes, and in this case, sparkling water in the RTD, or commonly known as ready to drink, or it can come in these little packets, which is going to give you 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. This stuff is awesome. I was introduced to it by a good friend, Rob Wolf. Black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. It's not a big deal. And if you ever wanted to talk to somebody about things at a scientific level that you absolutely don't understand and feel like the dumbest person in any room, have a conversation with Rob Wolf because he knows a lot. Well, he knows a lot more than I do, especially about this stuff. But he's one of the co-founders. Again, it is a zero sugar electrolyte drink or a mix, depending on which one of these products that you have in front of you, that was born from the growing body of research revealing that the optimal health outcome occurs at sodium levels 2 to 3 times the government recommendation. Element is formulated for anyone on a mission to restore health through hydration and is perfectly suited for athletes, folks who are fasting, or those following keto or low carb or whole food or paleo diets. It's got a broad range. I use this stuff or have found the biggest impact in my life post workout. Specifically, jiu-jitsu, I feel the biggest difference, but honestly, it's going to be any workout or any time where you're going to be starting to sweat and you need to replenish what your body is pushing out. It is used by Olympic athletes, professional athletes, special forces, health experts, business leaders, and also everyday health. We're talking moms and just exercise enthusiasts, or perhaps just heavy sweaters. I think that means somebody who sweats a lot, not somebody who wears a sweater that's very heavy. If it sounds interesting and you don't know where to start, you can get a free LMNT or Element, like I said, sample pack with any purchase at drinklmnt.com/clearedhot. That's going to be down in the show notes. And don't forget, you can try this product here. The Sparkling is actually their newest product. It's quite delightful. I prefer it to be cold over room temperature, but whatever suits your fancy. It's 16 ounces of sparkling electrolyte water. You can try it totally risk-free. If you don't like it, they'll refund your order, no questions asked, but they have a very low return rate and a high reorder rate. www.drinklmnt.com/clearedhot. You won't regret it. Back to the show.
I posted about it, but I don't think this is what I think's happening. There's some crazy people, and I think that they're like 220. Not necessarily, they might be into drugs, but I just think that their brains don't work properly, and they just go out there and they fucking steal rope and they steal a bunch of dumb shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what their incentive is or why they're doing it. But
I'm just curious why they went down that road. And that's why I asked you if you had posted about it. I mean, people could, I don't know. It's one of the negative things about social media too, is people end up knowing far more about you than you know about them.
Yeah.
It's a tough balance to strike, actually.
no, and like a perfect example is I posted being in Montana yesterday.
Yeah.
And so it's like if now people know I'm out of town.
You actually posted the link to where you're staying, which Fieldcraft wise is not very good.
Come on out, dude. See what's up with it.
They might catch you in the sauna. Just fucking nude sauning at sunrise.
Good. They'll hear some Viking music and they'll be like, what the fuck's going on in there?
You'll see a man coming out of the sauna, just fucking steam
Doing
pouring off.
a rune chant. I'm gonna have my friend do a rune reading for you. You want to do one of those?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, since you're not into crystals, I thought maybe you would be into rune reading.
Until you slightly just clarified, I thought that a rune was a crystal.
A rune is basically an ancient alphabet. It's called the Elder Futhark.
And what in the fuck would that? Why would that help my life in any way?
Dude, I'll tell you what. Like, each rune contains basically like, and I might butcher this. People that are like really into the runes might be like, dude,
Michael's
what the fuck
on
are you
it
talking
today.
about? But each rune basically just has like an energy, and it helps guide you, and it helps like.
We're back to the crystals again.
Yeah, and you think it's crazy, right? There it is. That's the Elder Futhark right there.
So all the runes are the same?
No.
The alphabet is the same though?
It's 24 runes. You see them right there?
Yep.
It's 24 runes.
Are those characters like
Yes.
in an alphabet?
Each rune holds a different power, a different energy. It helps guide you differently. It helps you think about things from a different perspective. And see that? There you go, right there.
So hold on. They assign one of these things to you?
Yeah, my buddy will fucking reach into his bag of runes, pull one out, and then he will discuss with you how that rune relates to your life and how you can use that energy towards success. Now, here's the thing.
How many times have you been dropped on your head?
It's like the chicken before the egg thing, right? It's like
Michael would be a Burkana.
He's
a birch twig. He would either be that or the count as an ulcer.
I knew coming into this that if I brought the runes up, that this is the shit that you would be saying.
Definitely
And
wouldn't
that's
be
why I'm laughing because
he wouldn't be a Manaz, which is a man, or a godling. Fuck. I could see him being an ulcer.
Ulcer? What's ulcer? What are you talking about?
Quanaz, to the right of the riding. Left of gift, right of riding, ulcer.
Kenaz. That's how you say that.
Fucking whatever.
It's like anything, bro, though. You can listen to what that energy is about, and if you believe it, it becomes true. Do you believe in the power of manifestation?
Do you believe in flat Earth, motherfucker?
I'm not there yet.
Okay,
Well, let me tell you.
But hold on, though.
No,
Depending
hold
on how much you believe in flat Earth, does it make it true?
No, I tend to fully believe that we're living on a globe. But
I am glad to hear
hey,
that.
this is going around lately. The the footage from some of the early spacewalks.
I don't think that's real.
I don't know, bro. If that's what they're claiming is real, we have a problem, right?
Do you think we went to the moon?
Bro, here's the thing.
I think we went, but we didn't do as much as we said we did.
I think our government is completely full of shit on everything.
Everything?
Bro, maybe not every last thing, but the majority of stuff, they're not being honest. They're not being transparent. And so now it puts us in a place where it's like, well, what have they said that's true? What is bullshit? And I think almost everything that we hear is being disseminated to us based on what they want us to know. And that puts
At what level does the truth, like who in the government do you think knows the truth? And then what's the mechanism to spew the...
fuck, bro? Who knows, dude?
That's what I'm saying. Like if you get elected to Congress, do you get read in?
Let's go ask Joe Kent. He's been a homie for a long time.
He just moved to D.C. I met him in Tennessee of all fucking very weird evening. We went to the Alp release for Tucker Carlson, which is what do they call the nootropic things? Zins? But
Okay,
It's a different version. It's the American Zin. I don't know. And talked with Joe there.
Has Joe done your show?
No.
Dude, Joe's awesome.
It was the first time we had
Okay.
been connected, first time we'd ever spent time together. So we were sitting there chatting with him. It was before he got offered the job he just took. And then almost ran into Mel Gibson. Like he had a plate of food. I almost fucking knocked him over. It was a really weird night. Did not talk to Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson's house burned down while he was doing the Rogan podcast. And then he says, I no longer have the burden of owning things.
Didn't Musk say something like that? He got rid of all of his houses too?
I don't know.
So who knows the truth and where is the line for the bullshit? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I do think we went to the moon. I don't know if we did all the shit we did on the moon we said that we did, but you can see some of the stuff from Earth that we left on the moon.
Uh-huh. You can?
You haven't looked into this.
No, I have not looked into this.
Deeply formed opinions on little to no information.
I'm just saying, like, I don't believe. I think our government's full of shit all the time, and if that's the case, I'm gonna be reluctant, bro. We spent our entire youth fighting in Iraq for what?
I mean,
For bullshit
bald
lies.
eagles and shit. Dude.
Yeah, like, hey, listen, we're fighting them.
Afghanistan, less bullshit.
Of course,
lies.
of course.
Iraq,
Hey, we're gonna fight them over there, so we don't have to fight them over here.
and there's an.
How many times did you hear that?
Well, what do the best lies contain? An essence of the truth. Mm-hmm. You know, the stickiest, best lines, and conspiracies too. They contain an essence of the truth, so people can point at the aspect that is true. Yeah, it's. I spent a lot of time thinking about those. Just shy of 17 years.
I also don't regret it though.
I don't either. It made me the person that I am today, but I also want to be more than just that time in my life too.
Of course. No, I mean, I talk about it all the time on my show because I think deploying and being in combat and experiencing that was like transformative for me. I wouldn't take it back, but I can also look back on it with honesty and just be like, why was I in the streets of Ramadi shooting some guy? What was the real point of that? And it wasn't because Saddam had weapons of mass destruction, and it wasn't because they were going to come over here and kill our families. Like, what was the real cause of that?
Did I ever tell you I hit the number 1 chem bio target in Iraq?
Yes.
Yeah, that was our fucking 0-day target. Agricultural school. Ever tell you I lost my nods on that target?
No.
I went back and got him. I was sledgehammering a fucking door open. I had flipped my nods up, had ripped my gas mask off, and in my infinite wisdom, fucking brought the hammer straight up and smashed it. Got into the door. Just so you know, there was textbooks in there. We secured them. Not a big deal. We get outside.
Was that the Jessica Lynch target?
That was number 2.
Oh, okay.
This was
okay.
the number 1 chem bio target. We had looked at this fucker for months. We had like 3D models. They're like, look at the air conditioning on
This is where the weapons are?
They're like, no, there's no reason why there'd be this type of air conditioning on the roof. I'm like, I don't know. Have you ever been there in August? Because I feel like there might be a reason to have that.
I know why.
Yeah, hot as fucking balls. No, we go out and I reach up to bring my nods down and they're not there. This was my first ever real world target. Let me tell you about the thoughts I internally had.
Did you start stress sweating right away?
Not a whole lot was going on, so I slowly just backed up away from my team and retraced my fucking steps, and my nods were laying right by that door.
Dang, dude.
But I had to run out to the helicopter with like my gun and then holding them to my face because I broke the bracket.
Well, bro, this goes back to what you were saying, like, because like, do you think the government really knows? Like, was the whole thing just incompetence? Like, someone said
They
Saddam
100%
has weapons of mass destruction, so we got to go find him.
I think they reversed in Iraq. Looking back on it now, I think they smashed a square peg into a round hole. Mm-hmm. Afghanistan, easier to justify for sure. But we also accomplished what we needed to in Afghanistan in about 90 days.
Yeah.
Staying for 20 years was a fucking fool's errand. And I hate saying that because of the amount of time that I spent over there and the amount of blood, sweat, and tears in death and destruction of families. You can make a little bit more of an argument, but it would have been so much more sustainable to use a smaller force, a strike capability as opposed to trying. We just don't do well owning terrain as the U.S. military. Iraq, I really think that particular administration and certain people inside of that particular Bush administration were going to go there hell or high water. So I think they reverse engineered and found a reason to do it. The specialists
And
we
bro,
were talking
how
to.
dark is that? We both have friends that died there.
I know.
And they reversed engineered a reason to send us and our buddies there. Like, people should be strung up for that. If we're being honest, right? That's treasonous activity.
Yeah.
And when you talk to most veterans, they have arrived at that same conclusion. That's shocking.
Well, the dangerous point is if you arrive at that conclusion is that the next step for some people seems to be, well, then what was my service for? My time was wasted.
Yeah, but
So I don't know about you.
I loved it though.
I loved it too. And also, let's look at war. There's strategic warfare, operational warfare, and tactical warfare. I never breathed any of the air other than the lowest rung of tactical warfare.
That's right. Yeah,
I was never consulted with, strategic being, operation or like the foreign policy of the United States. Operational, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, or whatever they became. I didn't get consulted on any of that shit. I was handed down a target deck, and I did the absolute best that I could. Afghanistan, I do think there was a difference. I mean, at worst in Afghanistan, we provided an opportunity for a generation of women to educate themselves.
And you got to shoot people with javelins.
Oh, God, I miss it every day. But
No, this is what I say about it because I agree exactly.
because it's not lost, and it wasn't for nothing. We were not consulted on the higher level, and it wasn't our job. You know what I mean?
On boots on the ground level, who was fighting who? We were young American soldiers and sailors. There's some sailors there. We're fighting who? Radical jihadists. Mm-hmm. They were there because they hated us. We were there for whatever reason we were there. But in the foundation of what was taking place on the streets, it was just young men trying to kill each other. And you want to know what? If you were to sanction a city right now, somewhere in the world, and be like, hey, you can fly here. We're going to issue you body armor and a rifle. We're going to have an A team and a B team. We're going to start at opposite ends of the city, and you guys can kill each other. I bet it would be fucking sold out.
Are we going to monetize this?
Well,
Do we have
hopefully
ads?
we could. Yeah, hopefully you and I. Yeah. But the thing is, it's like violence calls to young men.
Yeah.
And, like when I lived in Los Angeles, when I was a deputy down there, I saw this, like, it was funny seeing the gang behavior. Man, you could make direct correlations to the shit you and I did.
The military meets all the same criteria as a gang or a cult.
Except my gang was just sanctioned by the U.S. government, so it's all good. No problems there, right? But young, wild kids want to go do hard shit, want to go inflict violence on other people, and are drawn to that. And we were drawn to that. For whatever reason, that's been inside of men since the beginning of time. Yeah. And so, like, boots on the ground, the guys that were killing each other in the streets of Ramadi, I think we're almost just looking for an excuse to go over there and do that. And so I can't say like, oh yeah, I took part in that, and now 20 years later I regret it because I got lied to. It's like, no, dude, I put myself in every position I could to be where I was at when those things were taking place. Yeah. And like, it just is what it is. And who cares if some things come to light 20 years later that like, oh, well, we got lied to about this, or this wasn't actually factual. You can't fucking cry about that stuff. It is what it is. Plus, it also fucking built you into who you are today. So I always say on my show, like, the government may have lied to us and turned us into these savages, and one day that'll probably be the demise of the government. So there's irony in it, too.
I'm not a savage. I'm very sophisticated.
I don't know. Your guard's pretty savage, to take it back to jiu-jitsu.
One day you can pass it if you want. I'll let you pass next time and tell you it was all you.
Maybe I'll just play guard and see how your passing is. I'm sick of dealing with. You want to know why I'm sick of your guard?
No. Just enjoy it.
Because if you were to watch it, it doesn't feel like a sophisticated guard.
Oh, it's not sophisticated.
It's a very simple approach, but you always maintain the right grips. You always create the right angles. And it goes back to what we said at the beginning. It's like, it's simple jiu-jitsu, but it's highly effective.
Your pass, we were talking about this last night. You need the right grips and you have to compress me, but then you actually expand me to go around. I reverse engineer that. You have to also expand to go around me, so I keep you compressed. So while you're trying to expand me, I'm trying to compress you. We're just fighting for opposite things.
And it was funny because you're like, that would have been a really boring round to watch, but it was
the
fun.
outside, we were working our
There's
fucking
a
ass
lot
off.
of shit going on.
Yeah, you can't feel the micro adjustments.
No, and I don't even think I got to it because we got sidetracked. But when people will write me and be like, dude, how's Andy's jiu-jitsu? Because they don't want to believe that your jiu-jitsu in 5 years should be
It's trash. I'll tell people right now,
competitive
it sucks.
with people that have been training for 2 decades.
I actually don't know jiu-jitsu. It's a celebrity belt. That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
My game is heavy flying arm bars and cartwheel passes.
Well, if anyone out there listening wants to test Andy's jiu-jitsu, come out. Let me know how it works out for you.
yeah, I mean, I'm here. It is what it is. I don't claim to be shit. I try.
The people that call your belt a celebrity belt probably haven't said that on the mats, right? That's a DM thing.
Oh, I've never had it said on the mats. Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. No, my jiu-jitsu game is not complicated, but I also don't want it to be complicated. I don't do well with complicated shit.
Well, it's effective though. As long as it's effective, it's working.
I almost swept you.
And bro, you might not know this because of how well you fucking retain guard, but I am a good passer.
I would tend to disagree.
Yeah, I know. That hurts my heart a little
No,
bit.
Leah was saying
I'm a good passer.
she-
I know my jiu-jitsu. I trust my jiu-jitsu.
she was talking about last night. We were driving home. She goes, I watched Greg pass Michael's guard. She's like, it was beautiful. I'm like, listen, honey, I don't know if you've ever said that about my guard, so only talk about my guard.
Is Michael the Savage Brown belt?
Yeah, he's awesome.
Bro, that fucking dude. And it was funny too because you're like, all right, round 1, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm looking around, there's this big, you could just tell that.
Oh, did you go for him round 1?
I didn't go for him. We were just the last
happened-
two.
okay,
we were
you
just the
happened
last
to
two
collide.
dudes.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and bro, like, you can tell a lot about someone.
Yeah.
And then the second you touch them and
Yeah.
you feel the physicality.
Lifelong grappler, too.
And it's
Awesome.
like, okay,
Yeah.
here we go. Then come to find out he's a lifelong wrestler and a cowboy.
Yeah.
And bro, I've trained with a couple dudes that are cowboys over the years. They're made of something different.
Do you know who's even stronger grip-wise?
Who?
Plumbers.
Oh, fuck. Bro, I have a plumber. You're right, dude.
They're like, if they get a grip on you, it's just, can I have that back when you're done?
So you want to know an interesting thing about my plumber? He's a blue belt.
Yeah.
His name's Drew Hamblin. When you pass his guard, his side control is more dangerous than his guard. He has these weird little
Side control bottom.
Side control bottom. You know, like the buggy choke. Like,
I don't believe in it, but I'm
well,
aware
bro,
of it.
I didn't believe in this shit either.
Yeah.
And then I pass his guard, and he'll start like shoulder locking you. He'll start like putting on weird chokes.
I mean, you know the defense to the buggy choke, right?
What's the defense of the buggy choke? Just
Put your
squeeze harder.
forearm on their nose.
Well, no, I just moved to north south now.
Yeah.
Like
You can do
I don't want to. I feel
go
like
like this.
I'm more in danger in
No.
his side control.
If you put your forearm on their face, they have to compress you into that. So it's really more of a choose your own adventure.
Well, come out here, feel his side control, and
No, that's your guy's side control.
that's what I'm saying. Come out to my academy at some point. We'll go on a ride in my boat if I still have it.
No.
Then we'll do some jiu-jitsu.
I'll put fucking nails in the bottom of that thing.
It's aluminum. You can't put nails in it.
No, your
dude.
students are good. You came out that one time with your students. They throw down for sure. It's cool. I always enjoy different academies have a different type of feel. And oftentimes their
course.
jiu-jitsu will be reflective of their instructor. And it's also, I've rolled with a couple checkmat people. You know what I mean? Like
Checkmat team is known for
it's similar.
kind of getting after it. That's kind of
well, it's similar, but also like the same approach. You won't necessarily see the same passes, but it's the same type of pressure. And then other gyms are like, oh, okay. The Checkmat is obviously a larger entity or organization inside of jiu-jitsu. There's Gracie and Atos and
Alliance and 100
Alliance.
Alliance.
Yeah. But the smaller ones, there's probably just not enough gyms to feel that touch point. But it is interesting to feel how it kind of cascades down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that Leia saw me pass that guard because,
She described it as beautiful. I was
bro,
very
that
upset.
fucking dude. As soon as we locked horns, I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is a fight."
Yeah. Oh, you saw
Okay.
the pace he came at me at. Which I just started laughing. I'm like,
I heard you. That was funny, man.
yeah, what are you going to do? I'm like, fuck, who cares?
No, but dude, I like training at other academies where, like you said, our jiu-jitsu may have a different language, but the vibe is like, dude, let's go. Some of those younger blue belts, they wanted to get down, dude. And
That's because they just look at your belt and they're like, today is my fucking day.
it wasn't their day. I'll tell
No,
you that.
that's the thing. It's not going to be their day, but it doesn't stop them from coming.
One
at
of
you
them,
like a
his
spider
name was
monkey.
Marshall.
Yeah.
I armbarred
He's
him.
getting his purple
I
belt.
armbarred him a couple times, and
Yeah.
afterwards he's like, "Dude, that doesn't happen to me." I was like, "Oh, did tonight, bro."
He also doesn't understand your love of arm bars. Is it your favorite submission?
100%. Yeah.
Was it always?
No, I fell in love with the armbar at black belt because I've been a black belt for 10 years now.
That doesn't even fucking compute for me.
Bro, it's weird. That's why it frustrates me that I can't pass your guard.
Have you tried trying harder?
Yeah, but that trying harder is going to make me breathe and sweat harder too. No, like
At black belt.
my whole game as a brown belt was Kimura. Like I fell in love with the Kimura.
Interesting.
And then at black belt, I started falling in love with the armbar.
What's your favorite way to hit it?
Far side armbar. So it's like
a step over?
hard pressure from side control, and then I'll switch to knee on belly. I like to have like thumb in grip on the back of the lapel, far hip, and then you go into like knee on belly and just put that pressure that feels like it's gonna
Really nice jiu-jitsu.
yeah,
is
exactly.
What you're saying. Warm
And then when
welcoming
they
jiu-jitsu.
try and push you off, you underhook that arm and step over
Oh,
the
and the
head.
arm comes across to try to get your knee
So
off?
far side armbar. I feel like that is the most successful setup. You know what I've fallen in love with lately though? Is the bread cutter.
The bread cutter.
From north south. So you go under the armpit,
Yep.
4 fingers in, and then you grab thumb in grip and come over the head like that.
Strong.
And the reason that I like that is because a lot of submissions you have to compromise a little bit of a position,
Yep.
right? Like a triangle is a perfect example. If you triangle someone from guard and they fight out of it successfully, a lot of times you're in a bad position.
Or
now.
if they explode up and you get stacked and
Yes.
you try to let go, a tsunami is coming over the top.
And it's the same thing with arm bars. Like a lot of times if people can defend an arm bar, like I was in side controller mount and now I'm playing guard again.
Yeah.
And so like there's a lot that goes into deciding when to take a submission based on positioning. But from north south, the bread cutter choke, if you get it, cool. And if you don't, you're just smashing their face and pressuring them from topside and nothing changes.
I think the only acceptable submission is just smothering.
Well, bro, I was just going to say, the last 6 months, one of my black belts really honed his mother's milk.
Which Leah keeps telling me it's illegal in a gi, and I don't understand
What do you
why.
mean it's illegal in a gi? Why would it
You
be
can't
illegal?
smother in a gi. Apparently, in IBJJF rules, you can't have anything covering their face.
You can't
Intentionally.
You can't smother them with your chest. Dude, that's bullshit. You know why that's bullshit? Because
Because it's awesome.
well, no, that's pressure.
Well, in no gi you can. Apparently, in the gi, it's illegal.
Wasn't Nicholas Marigali mother's milking guys in the gi?
I don't know if he was finishing him that way.
I don't know, man. I think if you can be outpositioned and put in a position where you can't breathe, that's your problem to solve.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, let's be honest too. They have rule sets in that environment, and for people who want to play that game, awesome. I have never had really any interest in competing. To me, I'm much more concerned of how do I never let somebody do that, whether it's allowed or not.
Yeah.
Just because it says something in a rule book in an environment that I'm never going to compete in, I still feel like I need to know how to fucking defend myself from that.
Yeah.
But I also don't compete, and for people who do, I don't know if you've seen this in any jiu-jitsu competitions. I've seen some real theatrics.
What do you mean?
Like
soccer players?
Somebody pulling a leg across and then claiming
Oh,
that they
yeah,
got,
they got
raped. And they can barely walk and then they're totally fine and then they win the
Yeah.
next match. There's some theatrics. They're playing, like, because reaping is illegal. So they'll pull the leg across and then act as if their knee got exploded.
I think everything should be legal.
That's what almost every black belt I know says.
I think heel hooks in the gi should be illegal. Should be legal.
I think if you're at a black belt,
I think reaping should be legal. Because like you got sambo guys that will reap the leg and then really control it and fall into these hubs where they have a plethora of submissions from the leg reap control. So as jiu-jitsu guys, do you hide from that? Or do you say bring whatever the fuck you want and we'll see where it goes? And it's strange to me that they're like, well, it puts pressure on the knee, but knee bars are legal. Like part of our sport is literally bending joints the wrong way. And it's incumbent on you to protect yourself. So
introduce it as you go up the belt tree in competition. But I think at a black belt level, I think it should all be on the table.
well, you said it last night. Like, what position were we talking about? Where you're like the heel hooks there?
Oh, the fucking squid.
Yeah,
Whatever it is. Yeah. It's the easiest way to end that.
The heel hook's there, right?
Yeah. They either let go of the lapel or they get heel hooked because
And it's
they're
like,
holding that fulcrum.
Do we want to build patterns that work just because we're safe because of a rule set? That doesn't seem like being the overall best grappler that you can be.
Yeah.
And so, no, I think everything should be legal.
I do too.
And I actually just signed up for a tournament April 5th. It's my first time competing in a long time.
Do no prep and just go into it.
Well, it's funny because the team decided to do.
What do you like, Masters 9?
I don't know. I'm 40. I'll be 45 this year, so I'm up there for sure. One of my brown belts was like, "Hey, if you sign up for the next tournament, it's called the Revolution. It's one
We have one here too.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger
Rev,
ones in Washington State." He goes, "It'll be good for the culture and a lot of our athletes that are kind of on the fence about competing or wanting to try it. When they see Professor do it, they'll sign up too." And sure as shit, we had 40 of our teammates sign up. So we're going down there heavy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like you. I don't really care about competing anymore.
It's essential for people who are scared of it, though.
I think so. Yeah. I think
My coach's theory is you don't have to compete, but if you're scared of it, you should.
Yeah.
Just once.
I like
Just do
that.
it fucking once. Like, I think the stats are less than 3% of jiu-jitsu participants actually compete. For most people, it's
Oh,
just not there.
is that true?
Oh, dude, it's low.
Wow.
Super low.
I tell my team all the time that competing, I don't care if you want to be the next world champion or you're just a soccer mom that wants to dabble. It's only going to help your jiu-jitsu journey. Now, with that said, I also think this is important, and this is from Joao, who won ADCC, so he knows how to have a champion's mindset, right? Mm-hmm. Don't ever fucking sign up for a tournament and say, I'm going to go down there and win or learn, right? Because if there's people there that are dead set,
Oh, you've already given yourself an out.
you're already giving yourself an out. Like, do not sign up for a tournament
And just say, hey, I'm
unless
I'm going to learn.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't, right? Like,
No, don't even think of you're just going to win. Like, I'm going to go get smashed. But I'm gonna learn.
yeah. So
Set the bar low and then trip over it.
if you want to compete, go and make sure you put in the work, you get in shape, you're doing what you need to do to take gold. Because if you're not doing that, you're just, what are we really doing here to start with, right? But with that said, if you go down there and you know you put in the work and you showed up in shape and you did what you're supposed to do and you still get smoked, your jiu-jitsu is only going to grow from that.
And I think you'll grow as a person too.
For sure.
I see this often with people who maybe they have never won at something. My theory is this: you have to win the same way you lose.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying when you lose to fucking rip open your gi and start beating your chest. What I'm saying is when you win, maybe don't do that shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You have to do both the same way. Because I hate to tell you, whoever you are, there's a motherfucker out there with your number.
Always.
And if you ever forget that, oh man, you're a bad day away from finding that person, because that person is out there for us all.
Yeah.
Learn how to fucking lose.
When I watched Buchecha go against Gordon Ryan, I was like, oh, even him, you know? And Buchecha locked onto one of his feet and Gordon started laughing at him. And then
That's not confidence inspiring.
And then Marcus laughed back at him because they both had an understanding. He's like, fuck, dude.
Yeah, I just went into your fucking A game. Yeah, that's not confidence inspiring when you grab what you think would normally be an offensive attack on somebody and they just
start
look you in the
laughing.
eye and laugh. You're like, fuck.
Let me ask you this. When you, maybe not now as a black belt because you've been doing it for a long time, but when you were new to the mats and you had someone just either mount knee on belly side control to where you couldn't breathe, you couldn't move, did you feel those anxiety emotions kicking in?
Sure.
And like that panic kicking in?
Yep.
See, dude, like that's something.
But you just got to eat it.
You got to eat it. But dude, in my opinion, that's where the most growth happens for people in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Because it forces you to deal with, because what's happening is fight or flight's kicking in. You're clearly losing the fight and you can't get away.
Yeah.
So you're out of options, and now what?
Yeah.
And the now what option is endure whatever's about to happen, or you can tap out, but then you'll have to fucking hang your head in shame because you tapped to pressure.
So I have a few moves where the pressure is pretty real. So there's no shame in tap. Like case of Katami, if you tap to that applied properly, there's no shame in that. That fucking
Agreed. Yeah.
is soul ending.
No, it's funny. Lappin called me one day. He goes, bro, I tapped to pressure today, but I could feel my ribs starting to bend. I was like, okay. Like
He's known for being a puss. So. I have talked with Leah about this a lot. Dude, you and I are larger people. I roll around at 6 foot, maybe 215 on a light day, probably somewhere between 215 to 225. Leah starting jiu-jitsu, can you imagine the first few years of being a female jiu-jitsu athlete?
Dude, it's crazy.
You're never going to win. She said she didn't even do anything offensive for almost 3 years. Can you fathom that fucking journey of being, she said the only thing she did was memorize the ceiling. Because she, for people who don't know what we're talking about, she was in a non-dominant position, stuck fucking looking up at the ceiling.
Dude, I say this all the time, and I don't know if it's a popular opinion or not, but for a female's jiu-jitsu to work in a real violent encounter, like you got fucking abducted or you got fucking snatched off of a running trail, to deal with a 200-pound violent man, I think you need purple belt jiu-jitsu and above.
I don't even know if that would do it.
Well, it
would depend on the person.
Yeah.
And it would depend on how fucking crazy violent the guy is. This shit is not magic. And it would also depend on the weight disparity.
For sure. But I mean, that's what I tell females because, like, I've had offers for, hey, will you run a female self-defense seminar? I said no. Because I think it takes 4 years for you to learn how to defend yourself, not 4 hours. Now, I will offer, I'll call them introduction to jiu-jitsu.
That's what Leah does too.
Yeah,
She'll do
I'll
like an
show
intro to
you,
self-defense.
like, hey, this is basically like the introduction to what we're doing here. But if you ever want it to work, understand it's going to be years of work.
So Leah just taught, I've helped her. I get to be the bad guy. Uh-huh. And every time she uses the example of the grocery store and, verbally, and she ends up yelling at me. I'm like, God damn it, it's fucking loud every time. So it's an intro to self-defense. The first thing she does is she talks about victim selection, the studies they've done with predators that are in prison, and they play videos. And it's uncanny how these same dudes are like, nope, that one. Nope, that one.
100%.
The first thing Leah does is teaches them how to walk with confidence. Nothing to do with jiu-jitsu.
I tell my people all the time, I said, your jiu-jitsu is going to save you, not because you fucking do an arm drag to a rear naked choke. It's because the predator is going to say, that's not the one for me.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's the truth.
Like the video you posted, what was it, last week?
Oh, I'll play it, dude.
Oh, because, it needs to be played because dudes need to hear this.
This is fucking, I love shit like this because this is another reason why we train jiu-jitsu, right?
Were there certain characteristics that you looked for in children before molesting them?
In children, yes, but more I also looked at their families. If I thought the father was a threat, I would not approach the child.
Like,
what else do you need to hear?
That's it. And so, like, that's why you train. It's not because, oh, this might happen or that might happen. It's just an overall projection to the world that I'm not a fucking victim.
You know what helps women who aren't at purple belt level yet? 9mm.
Yeah, but here's the other thing on that too, right? That's an important thing to put out because I tell women the same thing. Because my mother, I got a 38 special in my purse, Greg. I'm fine.
Break her fucking wrist if she cracks that.
And
thing
I said,
off.
when's the last time you shot it? Yeah. Because if it was when we were at your friend's house in 2014 and we put 5 rounds into the clay banks, trust me when I tell you, that is not going to be a feasible option. And people think you can just buy a gun and now you're good. And that's, I tell people all the time, that's the equivalent of you tying my black belt around your waist and thinking you have jiu-jitsu now.
Yeah.
Because bro, I'll just snatch that right out of my mom's hand and say, thank you. Now I have a 38.
Yeah. It's, they're not magic. It's much like there's no magic.
There is no magic.
You slightly believe in it, obviously, with crystals and your
and runes, bro.
Ether, whatever the fuck
runes.
you call it. Whatever.
Let me ask you this, because I talked about this the other day and I could tell it rubbed some people the wrong way. I have felt more what I would call fear and anxiety on jiu-jitsu mats than anything I ever felt overseas in combat. You were shot though, so it might be a different. I never got hurt in combat, but dude, hey, we're getting ambushed, or hey, you get intel that there's IEDs on our route, or whatever it is.
Yeah, there
was always just kind of this accepting that hey, okay, if it's my day, it's my day, but it's never that oh no. And I would get that oh no in MMA training and jiu-jitsu training.
Really?
Yeah, bro.
Because of hard rolls? Was it an individual that you didn't want to roll with?
No. I'm saying when what we talked about, Bushesha has you mounted and he has his knee going through your diaphragm.
Just get out.
Yeah, just stand up, right? And everything's going the way, because I think our lizard brain is like, I'm dying right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, logically, yeah, this is my homie and we're training, but there's something that gets triggered inside you sometimes that's like, what the fuck, dude?
So for clarity, I've never rolled with anybody like Bushesha, right? Like Henry is probably the closest I've come to that's somebody at that level. And he is not malicious when we roll like that. Like if you're talking about Bushesha getting ready for a tournament, I know what you're talking about, like the way that he was training with you.
But just what I was saying with like...
But overseas... you have the ability to fight back and maneuver.
Yes.
When you're rolling with people like this, you're doing everything that you can and none of it's working.
You feel helpless.
Stuck. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's that feeling of helpless where you've exhausted all of the potential avenues that you thought you could take and now you're stuck. And I never got to that place overseas because we had options.
That's right.
And most of the time, if I'm being honest, overwhelming fire superiority, which I recommend. People ask me, you know, what's worse, being in an ambush? Like, is it scary getting ambushed? I'm like, yes, it is, but always make sure you're the one ambushing. If you have to choose between the two, fucking ambush somebody. Don't be on the receiving end. You know, you can maneuver, you can do all these things. I never got to that place where all options were exhausted, but you do in jiu-jitsu. And I think that's probably why, I don't know, I've never thought about the comparison of the two. I mean, that night I got shot wasn't that scary until it fucking was.
Uh-huh.
And shortly after, maybe 2 minutes after I got shot, Sean came and pulled me around the corner, cut open my pant leg, and I could tell that it was likely not fatal.
Uh-huh.
And then it still hurt like a motherfucker, but less scary. You know what I mean? Like they were off handle. They drugged me into the street. I was just sitting out in the alley, and you know, I was more pissed than scared. I have never been fearless in my life. Fear has always been present, but it was never at that tipping point, or not often at that tipping point where it's like, I don't know if I can tolerate a whole lot more of this.
Well, dude, and that's what I've noticed. Like, we had one really bad ambush in Ramadi. It was August 10th, 2004, where remember that scene from Clear and Present Danger with Harrison Ford, where they had like a bunch of machine guns and RPGs and stuff on the rooftop? Yeah. It was gnarly like that.
Oh, when their cars are getting shot up.
Yes, and our motorcade got diverted because they put a bunch of Jersey barriers across the road. And as you know, you're literally driving and now somebody else is dictating your movement.
Yeah.
So like, again.
And you know it too.
And you know it. And it's like, fuck, dude.
It's not by choice.
and then sure as shit, the next road we got funneled on, they did it again. And that's when the lead car's like, reverse out. We can't continue down this fucking path anymore.
Yeah.
Because now they're dictating our movement. And as soon as we started to reverse out, dude, it was literally like 50 yards from the X, where had we went 50 more yards, they had a bunch of PCAMs and RPG gunners on the rooftops. And as soon as they saw us reversing out, they're like, oh, fuck it, it's go time now, and started fucking shooting our cars up. And, bro, they were level 7 armored like BMWs.
Yeah.
And they just got hammered, bro.
Yeah, it can only take so much.
And, like, dude, check this out, too. An RPG blew out the gas tank of our follow vehicle, which was right in front of us, and all the gas just went whoosh onto the street. It didn't ignite. So the opposite of Hollywood when you shoot a car with an RPG.
You never had a grenade go off and it was like a fireball, like a 50-gallon gasoline drum getting lit?
On a vehicle?
No, I mean just in general. The classic movie fucking grenade where it's just like boom and guys are going flying. And
I also hit a dude with a 203 and he walked away. I'm like, hey, I thought it was supposed to have a 14-meter kill ratio. It like detonated right at his feet, and then the plume of black smoke.
Yeah,
and I saw him run out of the alley. I was like, "What the fuck, dude?"
I mean, hopefully he died of shame later. But I mean, yeah, I wish it was like the movies.
But what I was saying is like, even in like a really gnarly ambush where it's hectic, like all the cars are getting shot up, there's RPGs being fired. And this isn't like beat my chest, like tough guy talk. Like it's not very scary. It's not scary in the moment because
you're
it's just
mechanically working through the problem.
That's what I'm saying. It's just happening. Like you don't feel fear when combat is actually happening. And so maybe like I'd never been in one of those scenarios where it's been prolonged, where like, you know, you hear like Tom Satterley talk about
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, where they're now in a hard point in a room.
A 36-hour tick.
And they don't know if anyone's coming. Yeah. Like now you're probably going to have to like deal with emotions and whatnot. I never had anything like that happen. It was always like spurts where you'd get ambushed or you'd get IED'd or you'd get in like this quick small arms engagement and then it was over. And it never felt very scary.
Have you watched the new documentary on
It was
Black
fucking awesome, dude.
Can you imagine
was
the
awesome.
fucking stones on Shugart and Gordon?
Dude.
What the fuck?
And you know what I loved about that documentary is they went and got the other side's perspective.
Yeah.
And those dudes are us, man. They were gnarly.
Fingerless fucking bullet hole through an ear
Yeah.
and shit.
And he's like, hey, I was here to fight and
Yeah.
I was going to see it through. And he's like, I got shot. I don't care. I was here to see it through.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, like you forget, like just because they don't have the fucking equipment or the stuff that we have or the support that we have, those fucking dudes are gnarly, man.
It's almost more impressive that they do that without the stuff that we have.
Yeah.
Like, imagine doing the shit that we did, but we were in sandals. That'd be a bitch. That'd be a bitch.
No, I really appreciated the fact that they didn't skew like, oh, the Americans were bad, but they also didn't like make those guys out to be bad. It was just very matter of
just
fact.
told the story
They
from
were
both
here.
sides.
This is what was happening. This is why these people were angry.
Yeah.
And then they talked about like some of the operations before the main one on October 3rd, where like, dude, there was some people's grandparents that got killed, and there were some old people that were like collateral damage.
Yeah.
And it started to really piss off the fighting age males in the city. And think about it, dude. If some Kalispell old folks home got accidentally bombed, it'd be like, you know what? The next time those motherfuckers come back into town, we got something for them.
Probably.
So it's very easy to understand how they arrived at that point too.
Yeah. Yeah, that documentary is fucking good.
No, I was fascinated by that.
Dude, every time people tell that story, though, those two snipers getting out of the bird, just fucking
Yeah.
solo-mish.
Do you know who Brad Halling is?
Yes, but I don't know him.
Okay. You want to know what's funny? When I first walked in to the to your coffee shop today,
Yeah.
I thought that's who you were sitting with. Because me and Brad, I don't know him at all, but we followed each other on Instagram
Yeah.
for a while. And I was like, but I've never met him. And I was like, oh, dude, he's here with Brad. And then I took a couple
I was
more
sitting with
steps.
my dad.
Yeah. I was like, no, that's not Brad, dude.
Yeah.
But
Fuck, man. 36-hour tick. Jesus Christ.
we
Didn't
don't
take
need
it.
our nods.
I
We
know, I
don't
was just
need
gonna
water.
Say the same thing. Fuck.
Like,
Yeah.
gnarly shit, dude.
Indeed, dude. Yeah, those guys, I don't know where they kept their balls. It's like wheelbarrows just down the street with their fucking balls, and it just was like, it's going to be okay.
But then the other side of it is like, you're there and you're going to either make it out or you're going to fucking die. So
Yeah.
I guess we're all going on a 5-mile run down the fucking
Can you imagine having to
Mogadishu-
fucking end that entire evolution with just a little jog?
God, dude. No.
Fuck.
You want to go axis deer hunting?
Yeah, I've been before.
Where you go?
I went to Lanai. I went. Sitka took me one time. Speaking of the hatch you got on.
Do you have, well, obviously if you have connections with Sitka, you got connections with private land out there at all, or?
Not on Lanai, because I think my understanding where we were hunting. Jack Carr, of all people, is partners in the operation on Lanai. So
Okay.
I might be able to do a little beta on that. The problem with that is, thank God I wasn't paying for it because they put you up at the Four Seasons. And let's just say that's a little bit out of the economic range. I think their starting one bedroom, whatever they call it, is got too many commas in it for a nightly rate.
Yeah.
But I think that it's Pineapple Brothers, I believe, is the operation. We could figure this
Well,
out.
dude, check this out. I'm proposing something to you because I have a homie that is, his name's Joshua Dukes, and he lives on Maui.
Okay.
And he's connected to all the ranchers out there because he's lived there for 20 years.
Yep.
And he was a firefighter for a long time, so like very integrated in the community.
Yeah.
And these ranchers, the fucking access are out of control on Maui.
Dude, on Lanai, I think there's 44,000, something like that. The speed limit on the island is 35 because
Because of them?
Yeah.
Same on, well, I heard the herd on Maui is over 100,000 now.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And what they're doing is they are digging up all the irrigation piping on the ranch and they break into it to get to the water. Yeah. And so like these ranchers, they want these deer gone. And he's starting to work with some of them. And I've went out there a few times with them.
They're hard as fuck to kill with a bow.
Dude, it's awesome though.
Yeah.
Like we kill, I'll show you pictures when we're done. But like we went out one day and filled the bed of his pickup truck because there's no limit.
Yeah.
And there's no season. They want them gone. They want them eradicated. And so
And you guys didn't even make a dent.
no, you'll never make a dent.
You
right?
could do 10 pickup trucks and not make a dent.
But as a new bow hunter, well, I'm not a new bow hunter anymore. It's been like 4 years, right?
Yeah, but have you ever hunted anything beyond deer? Like, where's your fucking? Let's get you on some elk.
I have not hunted elk yet. Let's hunt some elk, dude.
Well,
and bro, I've only
put in
hunted
for a Montana tag. It's a draw, but if you draw, I know a good way we can find some.
Yeah. Okay.
From the air.
From your new helicopter.
Yes. You just gotta wait 24 hours.
Yeah. Is that really the rule?
Rule.
You can spot them, but then you got to wait 24
Correct.
hours. Okay.
Yep.
No, but I started deer hunting, and then I was hunting out in Wisconsin with some friends out there, which is all tree stand hunting.
Yeah.
And people hate on tree stand hunting.
But if that's what you got, that's what you got.
But it's also, bro, tree stand hunting is not easy.
It will test your resolve.
That's exactly right. You will fucking sit there. It's 20 degrees out. And when you're out there for 8 hours, and it's actually kind of fascinating because it's you in the woods.
Yeah.
And once you're up in a tree, have you ever tree stand hunted?
Yes.
The woods come alive, dude.
Yeah, and you're riding the tree bowl a little bit. It's all over the place. Yeah.
So I did that for a few years and we've had success every year that we've went out to Wisconsin. And then my buddy Joshua invited me to hunt Hawaii. And now it's spot and stock.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating.
At least when you're spot and stalking axis in Hawaii, when you fuck it up, which you're eventually going to, you can turn like 90 degrees to either side and there's more.
There's more.
And you just start over again. Like maybe go get your arrow and like fucking jam it in your quiver and then just continue.
And bro, they shoot fucking anything's a go there.
Oh, I know.
Because like in Wisconsin, what you're like, the thought of releasing an arrow has to be a very ethical shot placement. Everything, like the fucking everything has to align perfectly to make sure you're not wounding animals, because obviously that's not what you want to be doing as a hunter. Hawaii is totally different. It's like they're slinging arrows at everything.
Dude, wait until you're on the ground with your bow and an 800-pound elk rolls out, just ripping a bugle in your face. Like it vibrates your skeleton.
That's fucking rad, dude.
It's hard to keep your shit together.
I actually got invited to a float hunt in Alaska for moose.
Why do you always have to be on boats? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Because there's grizzly bears there. I want to be out in I want to be in the river.
They can swim. I've seen National Geographic. Grizzly bears can swim.
Actually, dude, I grew up in Sitka, Alaska.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's bouncing back and forth because my dad was a commercial fisherman.
Okay.
So from May to April, we'd be up in Sitka. And bro, those bears, you'll find them on all the islands around Sitka. Like a mile offshore. And they fucking just swim out there. And I don't know if this is, some biologist will write at me like, that guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
That's very true. We don't.
But the deer will swim out there to have their babies because it's more safe.
In the water?
Yeah, the deer will swim out to the islands to have babies. And then I guess the bears will fucking sometimes chase them out there.
I think bears just do whatever they want. I think when you're that big with a jaw that powerful and claws like that, you just kind of do whatever the fuck you want to do.
It's fucking rad,
dude. I have brown bears scare the fuck out of me. And it's not that I'm like super comfortable around black bears, but I'd rather encounter a black bear than a brown.
Well, Washington State, they're reintroducing grizzlies now.
Onto the hunting list? Or you mean
no,
into the state?
Into the state. Because there was no grizzlies.
Why?
That's my question. Like, what are you doing?
There's no natural predator for grizzlies.
No, so it's...
Why are they doing that?
They're always doing stuff like that.
We know better than nature.
And they're and they're introducing like wolves back and shit like that.
I mean, the jury's out on that one. Or the jury is back, I should say. You can look at some of these states that have done that and shit gets out of control pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. What's your book about?
The book is a 2-part book. And again, it's called Courage Through Adversity. And dude, I've wanted to write a book off and on for a decade, but I always have that little voice that's almost imposter syndrome. It's like, who are you to fucking tell a story or to try and guide someone? And I would say it's not until the last couple of years when I've watched the Jiu-Jitsu Academy blow up, I've watched the podcast blow up, and it's like, no, we all hold the power to help people.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you get those emails all the time, and it's like, once you start to believe in like who you are and your message and helping people and you lean into it, that's where the magic starts to happen. So I was like, this is my year. I'm writing the book, and it's a 2-part book. Part 1 is kind of like my story, because I feel like if you're going to give any type of guidance or try and help people become better, some backstory is necessary.
Yeah.
And so it just talks about who I am, what I did, my military experience, my law enforcement experience, my jiu-jitsu experience. Then part 2 is about how to empower people to find the best version of themselves.
So when you say 2-part, it's all in one book, or there's
All
two
in one?
books?
No, it's
Okay.
all in one book.
Gotcha.
Yep. And I even say in the beginning, it's like, you don't have to read my story if like they're separate. You can go right into part 2 if you're not interested in some guy's military journey, because there's a million books like that, right? But I just put that so I feel like it gives my words validity.
Yeah.
And then part 2 is literally about the things that we need to be doing to empower our community. And it starts with ourselves. It starts with who we see in the mirror. And I hear from people all the time, it's like the 2 things that men have that like they voice concern to me about is not liking who they see in the mirror and not liking the profession they're stuck in. And they feel like they're stuck in life.
Do you think women feel the same way?
Probably. I just don't connect with.
I'm not saying they should be the ones telling you that. I'm just curious if they're having the same conversation on the other side of the table.
Maybe. But I feel like men in particular, like we have these expectations on who we're supposed to be. And I think most people are knowingly fall short of that. And if you're overweight and you're weak and you haven't prioritized your health or your fitness, or you know what else a lot of people don't prioritize is their relationships. Like one thing I hear from men all the time is like, man, I see you've built like a really powerful community. I don't have anything like that around me. I don't have any friends. I don't have anyone to bounce ideas off of. So the book talks about all that stuff, building community, building like resilience within your friend group, building resilience within your family, and just touches on all that stuff because I feel like it's lost right now.
How many words?
How many words?
Yeah.
I think I was at 62,000.
Sweet. When's it come out?
October.
Oh, so you're well along farther in the process than I am.
No. So I'll tell you, the manuscript is completely done.
Yep.
The full book is written, turned in. I've hired, I'm working with Chad Robishaw's agent because he's connected in that world.
Yep.
And we're at the phase now where he's presenting it to different publishers to see who wants to pick it up.
Do you need a picture of me for the cover?
I'll put you on the back cover.
Front cover will sell better. Clothing optional.
Yeah, we'll put the front cover as a picture of me trying to pass your guard. Or that'll be book 2, titled "The Endless Endeavor."
Obviously, it'll be
trying to pass.
Obviously,
Andy's
it'll
guard.
be fucking fictional. That's not happening. Leave my guard alone. I like my guard.
No, I'm excited for that though, man, because I think.
Okay, so it may not come out in October then. It takes a long time once you hit a publisher.
Yeah, no, that's why we're going into it now. And my agent says for books that are like on around these topics, an October release is typically the best.
Okay,
is what
so
you want to shoot for.
It's going to be October of 26 then. So I'm I'll show you. I'm not going to show the audience, but like I just got to the point where we picked the cover for the book I wrote. So there's 3 options there. Which one do you like?
I like this one too.
Yeah, that's the one we went with.
That's the one.
So there's that.
That color scheme, it just pops.
Yeah. It's very naval in nature, blue and gold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to pick the cover. Then it's got to go through editorial passes. One of them is going to be just for grammar. Like for, this exists for people like you and I who struggle with tahi, the. I don't really know the difference when you should use a comma and a semicolon. I'm going to be honest with you.
No, same.
If Word suggests that autocorrection, I generally go with it.
Yep.
Because I don't know why. It's got the red squiggly line underneath it, and if I double click, it says semicolon. So there is a grammatical pass. Mine just cleared legal review, so there's a legal review. Okay. I haven't even gone through the grammatical pass yet, so legal review.
Did you have to have the military look at it at all?
You didn't. Well,
because I'm not doing that.
There's 0 war stories in mine.
Okay.
I probably will get military. What do they call it? It's fuck. If you wouldn't have asked me that, I would have been able to tell you what it was called. DoD clearance, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Probably, because then it allows you to put it on some reading lists, like the military could recommend it on military type reading lists.
Is that up to the publisher to decide then if they want to go through and have it scrutinized?
I think it should be more collaborative. It should be a conversation.
We sound like 2 fucking monkeys trying to fuck up football.
Yeah.
Talking about
everybody listening to this should be inspired.
Yeah.
This is a conversation about how you can accomplish things when you're born stupid.
If you want to write a book, do exactly what we're saying right now.
You have 2 idiots sitting at a table, and look what we did.
Tell you what, the books are coming out though.
It should be a conversation because it could delay the publishing because it takes up to 12 months.
That's what I've
heard. So they picked the cover, or they didn't pick the cover. They presented 3 and a group of people took a look at it. I agreed with their selection, which was the letter A. Talked to the lawyer, legal review. That was very easy because I didn't name anybody. I kept things broad where they needed to be broad. 0 war stories, 0 TTPs, any of that shit. So super easy. She had like 3 or 4 questions. Grammatical review. Then there was going to be a content review, which I actually don't necessarily know what that is. I've heard that that's where the, suggestions maybe rethink how you're saying this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
Then you got to format it. Do you like the design of the format? This is what this page is going to look like. All this stuff.
Are you going to put pictures in it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, only of me, of course, though, because
Of course.
yeah, I don't even have that many pictures of me, especially from my time in the military.
None of us do. Well, there's a handful of guys that seems like they post a picture from the GWAT every day, and it's like,
I didn't even think to have a fucking camera with
no,
me.
man.
I get sent some pictures. The ones that I have, I was sent by other people. I never fucking took them.
Well, dude, my first deployment, my first and my second, I just brought like a couple of those disposable Kodaks.
Oh yeah, you had to advance it with your thumb.
And then you get home and you drop it off at Walgreens, and then 3 days later you see what you got out of your
you
deployment.
realize your friends got it, and it's like several pictures of their assholes. No, but so then you got to like format the book. Then they lock the typeset. I think I'm using that properly. And then like 6 months after that, it'll come out. It's a long process.
And what I was kind of shocked to hear is like once a publisher picks you up, it's basically their book.
I don't know. The contract that I signed didn't seem like overly onerous. I'll send you exactly what I signed if you want to see it.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Because there are things you have to decide.
Did they pay you up front?
I did get an advance, yeah.
Okay.
Let me tell you what an advance is, though. That's a number that they split up over 4 payments.
Uh-huh.
That you'll get a fourth of it, and your agent, if you have one, will get their scrape first. Lawyer gets their scrape first. Upon signing the contract, you get another piece of the advance upon the publisher accepting your final manuscript, another chunk when it actually releases, and then I think the other one is another chunk when they do their first or second paperback run. So your advance is going to get cut up over years.
Yeah, so it's just you're getting $150 deposited.
It's a great way to turn a number into a smaller number.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about the advance is that if your book completely flops and you don't even sell one copy, you don't have to pay them back anything.
And then people need to remember what advance means. It's an advance on future sales. So even if it crushes, you probably won't see a measurable amount of money for 12 months.
No, yeah.
Because they get their money back first. Because remember the term, advance.
Yeah. And also though, like even after that, they're going to get a substantial percentage of the royalties.
Yep.
Because my agent talked to me about self-publishing too. And it's like,
there's pros and cons to both.
There's pros and cons to both. And he said, like, a guy that has a big platform, like you would be very applicable for this. You would have the potential to move a lot of books without a publisher.
Maybe, but I like the idea of leveraging people in their core competencies.
Exactly
and
right.
specialties.
That's exactly what I said, dude. I would rather just say, hey, let people that know what they're doing figure it out.
Yeah.
And if I make a little less money in the end, I don't really care. I want the book to have a wide reach, and I want the book to be received well, and big publishers know how to do those things.
I literally put in the foreword, or not, no, Jocko wrote the foreword. I put in my introduction, I think the first sentence was, I don't know what makes a book commercially successful.
We might find out.
What I said was, I don't actually care if I make a dime on this. Only thing I care about is if it actually impacts somebody's life.
Yeah.
That to me is the measurement of success. It's, because then there's the audiobook. You know what I mean? And the royalty.
Are you going to read it? You have to read your own audiobook.
I have the first right of refusal. So they can give me the opportunity to read it, and they have to at least offer me that. But if I suck at it, I think I could actually probably read it here.
Bro, you know what else you can do? You can let ChatGPT listen to one of your episodes.
Yeah.
And learn your inflection, your exact presence, and how you articulate things, and then run the book through that, and it'll spit it out instantly. I almost felt like that's cheating. And then I was talking to a guy. It's like, bro, it's 2025. For you to sit at your podcast microphone and fucking read for
What's
10 hours.
Yeah, but what's more fun than reading your own words? Super page turner.
Because I think I've thought about that. Like I don't have as big of a following as you, but still the people that do follow me consume my podcasts. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people that are going to be tuned into your audiobook, they need to hear you.
I think it makes.
Or do you want me to read your audiobook?
Only if I can read yours. Okay. We'll have to pinky swear on it. We're going to do each other's. Be super powerfully gay. I don't know. I'm not at that phase yet. Dude, I don't know how to do any of this shit.
Yeah.
I'm working my way along. It comes out in January of 2026. Like, as far as I've seen the cover art, which I showed you, and the legal call. I'm still waiting on the grammatical, still waiting on the contextual one.
How many words was yours when it was all done?
67,000, I think, something like that.
What is that going to convert to actual pages? Like 250 or something?
Close to 300, I think.
Close to 300, okay.
And I don't know how they, like, do you do blank pages in between table of contents, and you know what I mean? And the pictures, how big are they going to make them? Because that stretches out the writing too.
Yeah. One reason that I was very apprehensive of self-publishing was my agent was talking about how you need to have an understanding of how many books you need at release.
Oh yeah, I don't know that number.
And he's like,
I would order 7. Yeah, but I feel like 7's good. I don't feel like that check's too big. I could write that.
But he's like, dude, there's 2 things you do not want as an author is you don't want 5,000 books sitting in your garage that aren't moving.
Or selling 5,000 books and you don't have any to sell.
And he goes, what's even worse is exactly that. You sell them out, and now, because when it's hot and it's new and your fans are wanting your item, and they go click and it says sold out, they're not coming back next week.
Dude. No, they're fucking
So, like,
gone.
you have to find that happy middle ground, and top publishers know how to do that better than we'll ever fucking know how to do it.
You and I were talking about wealth anyway, or what being rich is. For me, it's being able to do what I want to with my time. I'm completely fine breaking even on this book, having it help somebody, but the publisher is working on, let's make it look good. These are the outlets you want to sell in. These are the circles that you're going to need to go to. Like, set that stuff up. I'll go do what you need from me, but the rest of the time I'm going to do with what I want to with my time.
Yeah.
Like, I took the time to write the book. I handed it off. It was well received. We'll see how it goes when it goes for sale. They are the ones who invested in me in the advance. It's not crazy money by any stretch, but I want experts. Like, I don't go to the automotive school to get my oil changed.
Yeah.
I go to the dealership with the fucking certified mechanic.
No, I'm the same way. And you know, I think a lot of people that are new authors, they must just want to fucking micromanage everything, because I've said that exact same thing to my agent a handful of times. I'm like, dude, I'll let the guys that have been in this industry 20 years kind of guide me.
Yeah.
Like, if you think this needs to come out or this needs to go in or this font pops more at Barnes & Noble, like, no, it doesn't. Like, dude, just...
I mean, clearly it's going to be Helvetica. It's the only font to go in. That's what I submitted my draft, and I bet you they already changed it to, like, Times New Roman or some shit.
You know what would be cool, though? And this is also obviously depending on who picks your book up.
St. Martin's Press.
That's who picked yours up? And so you'll be able to go to likely any Hudson News while you're traveling. And there's your book.
Who can stop me? Dude. I feel like I can draw a massive cock.
Open it up and fucking draw a dick.
I already do it on Jack Carr's books.
And then and then it'll become a thing. Like, dude, if you got one of the books with the cock by Andy, it's worth this much more on eBay.
I have signed about 20 of Jack's books in airports. And I write out an inscription to myself like, thank you, Andy, for being the inspiration of what I thought a SEAL could be, Jack Carr. It's awesome. Somebody out there has those books. I do it at airports.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, dude.
I did it one time. There's a Barnes & Noble's down in Missoula. Leah was just mortified. She's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm looking for a fucking pen so I can write in this book that I didn't write and pretend like I did. Leave me alone.
You get arrested for fucking...
Once a day, she's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It used to be once a week when we first met. Fuck. How's the podcast going?
You know, it's still doing good. Like, and just like you said with the book, I don't do the podcasts hoping I get this many downloads or this much money from it.
Yeah, you can't pay attention to that.
And it did slow down a little bit. But I feel better about myself after what you said. It's like people are out doing their stuff now.
That, and I was actually talking to Ad Guy about this. When iOS did one of their updates, it broke the subscription links to everybody inside of Apple Podcasts.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah, it's a known issue in the. I think it was like it was in the 17s or something like that. 17 point whatever. It unsubscribed everybody.
Fuck, man.
Yeah,
Because like, who goes back and resubscribes?
if it was meaningful in their life, which are the people I would want to talk to anyway, they'll find it again.
They'll find it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that journey has just been one of the most transformational journeys of my life too, because it's just before you know it, and in either doing other people's shows or inviting people on my show, you're building your network, you're building relationships. And now I feel like I'm connected with these different people all over the country. Like, dude, do you know Bedros Keuilian? Do you know who that is?
Listen, I was going to talk shit to you about this mastermind you're a part of. I saw you post it in your story.
What mastermind am I a part of?
Aren't you doing like a life seminar fucking centering your chakras? I saw you post about it.
No. There's no chakras. There's no runes. There's no
that's
crystals.
What I read. I'll fucking pull this up right
Pull
now.
it up. Yeah, it's called BK Live.
Which is chakras and runes.
He actually said, he goes, because I was talking to him last week. I said I was coming out here to do this.
Yeah,
and he
discover how to reach your potential in life and business with chakras and runes. That's what it says.
He's an entrepreneur, and he's actually a really cool guy. And I invited him on my show, and we ended up hanging out for just like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, he goes, dude, I got a big event coming up in May. If you want to be part of it, let me know. And it's just like little doors are always opening up just from doing this.
Yeah, man.
You know? And so I think that's one of the most important aspects of doing this. Like, you're on what, episode 3 something now?
Michael, pull up the YouTube page. Yeah. Well, is it 370? Something like that?
Let's see.
He's over there. He just sits over there and like plays Pokemon while we talk.
378 was our last one.
Okay, so
you're coming up on 400.
Yeah.
So think about how many people you've connected with and how many doors have opened just from this.
It's wild.
You know, and so it's like that's what motivates me to keep doing it. And again, the mission is to enrich people's lives. And as long as we can keep doing that, I think it's what we should be doing.
It's worthwhile for sure. What do you got planned for the rest of 2025? You got any 2025 goals?
No, not really, man. I mean, I shouldn't say not really. I have lots of goals, but nothing that we haven't really already kind of dived into. I was hoping the book would come out this year, and you just crushed that goal.
You want it to take time, though, right? If you're going to hand it off to experts, let them polish whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'll be honest, like what I handed off, if I were a jeweler, it would need to be finished by somebody else. Maybe let's set the diamond in there correctly. You know, it'd be like paper clipped on, and they're like, maybe we should weld that shit.
Yeah.
You know.
And then the other thing is just continuing to grow the Jiu-Jitsu Academy. You know, we'll be at
it's wild how many people
We'll probably be at 300 members by the end of this year.
Oh, I'm not even going to give you till the end of the year.
And
I would say June.
Yeah, growth just becomes exponential.
Is it really exploding when you're doing something? It seems like everybody does it because you hang out with the people doing the same shit you are. The UFC obviously has launched grappling. It's definitely more popular. But is it exploding to the degree that a lot of people talk about it?
Bro, I think so.
Yeah.
I think, again, like my academy kind of blew up at the right time with kind of the perfect storm with my story, and like a lot of things kind of fell into place. But I also think that when you have basically everybody with a voice these days praises jiu-jitsu. You know, when you're looking at all the big podcasts, and maybe not obviously like true crime, like there's top podcasts that have nothing to do with guys like us, but guys,
that's because there was no crime because they choked that motherfucker out. There was attempted true crime.
Right. Yeah. But like anybody in our space that's into fitness, into guns, into hunting, like all the guys at the top are proponents of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, or participating themselves.
You know, and you got guys like Rogan and Jocko and yourself, like everybody talks about the value of jiu-jitsu. And I think it's expanding because of that. And a lot of people, because dude, I used to get, the only people that would come and want to train jiu-jitsu were savages. Like guys that either wanted to become fighters or former wrestlers. And now it's all walks of life. A lot of kids, a lot of women, a lot of dads that are like, they've never been an athlete in their life.
Well, who's how old's your oldest member? Do you know?
Mid-50s.
That's so cool to start something like that.
Yeah, we don't have anyone. I mean, I had a guy that started training because he attended our Guns and Geese program, and he got his blue belt at 70 years old.
That's awesome.
And it's like once people lean into jiu-jitsu, I tell people all the time, I've yet to meet the person that dedicated time to jiu-jitsu and then regretted it.
Can you imagine how he's going to dominate the nursing home? He's going to be the fucking Sigma in that nursing home. Just he'll get as much tapioca as he wants.
There's no nursing home in my future.
One day.
No,
I keep telling my dad.
Not a
I put him in
fucking.
one. I tell him, I'm like, I picked it out. It's called Shady Acres.
One day, just, hey, Dad, do you want to go for a ride?
Dude, he is such a character. Michael can attest to this. I have him on the show sometimes, and like people love asking him questions.
So he does full auto Friday
Sometimes,
with you?
and sometimes I'll just do episodes with him, and it's such a cool time capsule. But he is dude. He is such a handful. Like he upgraded to a new phone recently. Trying to explain to him why his Bluetooth headset isn't working on his new device is a journey through space and time and exploration. Like, just fucking bring the thing over to my house and I'll do it. You know, he's the kind of guy who'll spend 6 hours on customer support with Hulu trying to log on. That happened last week.
Well, I think about that with my father because my father passed in 2015, but he was already reaching that point like, this fucking remote, dude, how the fuck do I navigate into this app? And like,
do you use Apple TV?
Yes.
My dad carried around in his breast pocket an Apple TV remote for a week asking people how to recharge it at the coffee shop. That's the shit I have to deal with. Yeah. People love him on the podcast. I'm like, listen, I get it. I get how in this setting you guys love him, but I have to deal with this motherfucker.
Bro, we're going to be there before you fucking know
Not
it.
me, dude. Ever.
Yes, you will.
I'm going to fucking choke my middle son out as many times as I can and then quit jiu-jitsu as soon as he can get me.
Do you think your jiu-jitsu has an expiration date?
I try to have a style that does not.
As I get older, I try and move it towards that.
Yeah.
But I also think, like, I don't know, man. I look at some of these old guys that just look like decrepit and they look
Talk to him about how their game used to be, though. Like I was telling you about at Origin camps, guys who more stripes on their belt than I can even bother counting. A lot of them were super, super competitive early on. And we're talking the fucking rough and tumble days.
Yeah.
And some of them, it was their ticket out of Brazil. So they destroyed their fucking body at a young age to be able to do the things that they did. There's a physical cost to that. I think.
Yeah, doesn't Hickson have like 8 herniated
discs? And he's got Parkinson's. I did a remote episode with him for Change Agents, and he was shaking more visibly than I thought he was going to be. Whether or not those two things are connected, the jiu-jitsu and Parkinson's, I don't think so. But, I mean, I think if you want to do it for a long time, you have to modify it to a place where it doesn't have an expiration date.
Yeah.
Because you and we will never be able to outpace a 20-year-old.
No.
But
that's the thing. It's like if you're Hickson and you literally built a legacy around jiu-jitsu and the cost of building that legacy is a percentage of your physical health, like that makes sense. It's a give and a take, right?
It makes sense for a couple people.
That's what I'm saying.
Not for everybody.
But it doesn't, I don't think that makes sense for most people.
Yeah.
If they reach a point where it's like, hey, jiu-jitsu is now doing more harm than good.
I think you have to ask yourself, why are you participating in it?
Yeah.
And I think you should do that with every activity, not just jiu-jitsu, because some things just have a cost from a perspective of time. Like if you're addicted to fucking golf, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
I know plenty of people who will go out and get shit-faced and play golf because they just don't want to be with their spouse because they have a horrible relationship. So it's actually less about the golf.
Yeah, you have an unhealthy relationship with golf.
It's not even about the golf.
It's
just
how you
about,
escape.
Yeah, it's about not being in the same place with somebody else. So
isn't it weird? A lot of dudes have wives that they want to hide from. It's like, dude, why are you married to her?
Dude, all I want to do is spend time with my wife.
Yeah,
it's so cool to be able to share jiu-jitsu with her.
Yeah.
We're only allowed to drill.
You don't roll live with her?
I have beaten her one time, and as it was happening, I realized I was making an error. It's not worth it. Okay. So we drill.
Fair enough.
She did this. She's done this for 17 years.
Yeah.
Competitive, very good competitive career. She's still competing. I don't, but fucking size and strength and athleticism is real.
Of course it's real.
It's like, but it's not worth it.
You ever hear the story Jocko told about his first time rolling with a female world champion?
No.
He's like, dude, and he didn't say who she was by name, because he's like, man, they said like she won the world title. And he's like, so man, what's this going to feel like? Am I about to get beaten by a girl? And then he goes, And then I did whatever I wanted to her.
It's not magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, and I think that's where you're right on with the purple belt for a minimum of like, it just takes so fucking long to get to purple belt, and you got to put a lot of time and work in. And yeah, you're going to realize you're a little bit vulnerable before that, and not a lot of people would want to go through that. And then, yeah, a female purple belt against a male black belt. I'm sorry.
Yes.
That's going one way.
It's not going to work out for you.
It's not.
I just think, I don't know, like everybody, it's funny, whenever I say this, people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? You might quit jiu-jitsu one day? Like, what are you talking about? And it's like, this is a phase of life. It's been a long phase. It's been 21 and a half years now. Jiu-jitsu has been my consistent through a lot of different phases of my life too, which has always been cool, right?
Yep.
But if it's to the point where it's hurting me and it's bringing me more harm than good, like,
put it down.
It's probably time to move on. And when I say that, you like jiu-jitsu people get, what are you talking about? It's like
we also have a lot more life experience though, and other things that a lot of times I think people get trapped in identifying themselves and what they did. What they did became who they are.
Bro, that's our whole old communities.
But if you can get past that once, it becomes less of an issue or hurdle of being able to realize, hey, I'm beyond the healthy participation in this. I'll move on. And people say, well, how could you possibly do it? I'm like, dude, I'm on to the next.
Well, bro, perfect example is like trying to fucking shower this morning. I'm trying to wash my hair, and it's like this elbow is barely working. And it's just because like I said, we have that competition coming up. So we've been getting after it. And then going with your gnarly brown belt. And it's like sooner or later, I'm going to want to be pain-free. Because I don't even remember what being pain-free is like.
And you'll never feel it again. It's already too late for that. That ship has sailed for you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But we need to add to the pain. And jiu-jitsu does, man. It just does.
It has to be a net positive.
Yep.
Otherwise, I think it's time to put it down.
And also, like, I don't know if I ever want to be the guy. Like, I don't have to have rounds where we're fighting to the death. But I also want to be doing real rounds. Yep. If everybody's just babying you because you're the old broke guy, I think I'm just going to go become a yogi and meditate.
Yeah, unless there's some other old broke guy and you guys can have like legit, octogenarian rounds. Like 60, like max heart rate is 60 BPM. You can beat each other with your canes.
Yeah.
There's a time and place for everything, man.
Plus, I want to sail the world. Maybe you'll come on that journey with me.
I fucking hope your boat sinks in the middle of the ocean.
I'm going to buy a boat that's unsinkable.
That doesn't exist.
It does exist.
They tried that with the Titanic.
Some of those catamarans, their cores are...
Limpet Mine will take care of that shit. What do you want to close it out, man? We've been out for almost 3 hours.
Yeah, this is fun, man. I love coming out here. I love
Guns and Geese. Tell me about that. Where can people sign up for that?
So Guns and Geese is a pretty limited program. We're only running one this year. And it's a program that
really push yourself.
Yeah, I know, right?
Is it already sold out?
No, it's not sold out. There's some spots available. It's in my academy, Lake Stevens, Washington, in July, and it's just a weekend of shooting and fighting. But again, at the essence of what it's become, it's more about personal excellence and community and connection. Like people say all the time, we do 3 hours of shooting in the morning and then 3 hours of jiu-jitsu in the afternoon. And then we do dinners and bonfires together. And consistently, people are like, my favorite aspect of camp is the bonfire conversations.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
And so, like, I actually want to lean into that more over the next year. You asked me what my goals were for 2025, and I said, I don't know, not much.
I'll just do this one course. Really going to push myself.
No, I actually want to move into connection and community building and offer more things that are around that as opposed to shooting. I'm kind of over guns, dude. And I know that's blasphemy to say.
I feel like I already know where you're going. You're going to become a traveling mega church pastor.
That's right, dude. And then I'm going to convince everybody to give me their wives. Like, hey, if you want to have a baby, it actually has to come from me because I'm connected to God.
And give me 80% of your money.
80% of your money, and then we're all going to drink a magic potion and fly off on a comet together.
Fuck yeah.
Bro.
You know what the problem is? People would sign up for that shit.
A dude did that.
I know.
Like,
and
I feel like I'm
signed up.
You know what's funny is like I always say at my jiu-jitsu academy because people are like, dude, it's become like a cult here just because like how bought in people are, right?
Jiu-jitsu does meet every criteria.
I said, but I don't have sexual rights to the wives.
That is actually not a required criteria.
That is a required criteria.
There's
for a
5
cult.
recognized criteria. I know that. I look into this shit. Yeah. But here's the thing. CrossFit meets it. Religion meets it. Almost all organized sports meets it. Yes, jiu-jitsu meets it. The fucking military meets it. It is what it is.
But it's nuts how some people it just will absolutely give like all of their sovereignty and their autonomy over to another man.
Yeah, don't do that.
No.
So Guns and Geese, can people sign up on the website?
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Their sign up's still available. Outside of that, though, like we talked about jiu-jitsu for half of this podcast.
Did we?
If you're not training jiu-jitsu, go find a spot and start training.
I agree.
That is what I find to be the catalyst to change more than any other aspect of people's lives. And there's a reason we can sit and talk about it forever. It's because we both feel the power in it. We both know how much value it brings to your life. And what you will find is almost none of the value that you pull from the mats has to do with choking people or armbarring people.
Do you ever have people ask you if they want to talk to you about something that happened in a roll? And when people ask me, I'm like, dude, I don't remember who I rolled with yesterday.
Dude, some people have photographic memories for rolls.
Okay, I don't.
I don't either.
And I have had people, hey, I'm like, hey, man, can you show me what you did yesterday? I'm like, I didn't actually, if you wouldn't have asked me, I wouldn't remember that we rolled.
Yeah.
And by the end of Open Mat, I may not remember who I rolled with at the beginning of Open Mat.
So you know what we just did? We just implemented this new camera system in the academy where students can log in and have access to it to pull their own rolls.
Oh, God.
Because people will say that all the time. Hey, can you pull footage at 6:42? I want to see how this guy passed my guard or whatever. And it's like, no. Now you can just have login and do it yourself.
Oh, man. Or here's a thought. Take it easy. Just take it easy. You know what I mean? Like, just fucking have another roll. Like,
yes, it's like, just fucking jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, just take it easy.
No, but I mean, that would be my biggest advice to anybody that is seeking personal excellence, seeking growth, seeking community, just trying to connect with other people. Find an academy and start spending time there. And don't have expectations of anything. Just be consistent, show up, and your life, the trajectory of your life will move in the positive direction in almost a direct correlation to how much time you're spending on the mats. And I know, again, it starts to sound a little culty, but when you've seen this happen over and over and over for 2 decades now, it's undeniable.
I mean, Michael, you're 23. You've been at jiu-jitsu for a while.
25.
Whatever. Has it had a positive impact on your life?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, when I met him, he's a white belt. He's like 150 pounds.
Uh-huh.
And what do you know, like 162?
190.
I don't
190, dude.
He doesn't feel it on top. He's like a piece of paper laying on you.
He's the opposite of heavy
And let's be
pressure.
honest, he's never going to be in a dominant position. He's a bottom player. Power bottom, if you will. He just his move is belly down, ass up.
Don't listen to him.
Has it had a positive impact on your life?
Oh, yeah. Undeniably so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of that positive impact, we talked about earlier, it comes from just developing some confidence, how you walk, how you carry yourself, how you believe in yourself. I say it all the time to my guys, like, not only what we talked about earlier is like walking in the parking lot with your shoulders up and just having an awareness, but you know where I've noticed it too is in professional settings. I've had supervisors that are just kind of arrogant assholes, and the way they talk to people is a direct reflection of them being those arrogant assholes. But when they know that you can take them down and strangle them unconscious, they treat you a little differently.
Yeah, regardless of how hard they may try to escape.
And that's the thing, dude. And it's like, am I going to go into my supervisor's office and strangle him? No, I think everybody understands that's probably not going to happen.
Let's leave it at a maybe.
But that's what I'm saying. When it's even a possibility,
Yeah.
people hold you in a different regard.
It rounds the edges on things.
It does, man.
Yeah.
And like I tell the young people in my academy all the time, jiu-jitsu will serve you the rest of your life professionally just as well as it will actually give you a skill set to defend yourself, because people will hold you in a different regard.
I agree. I mean, I feel like we did a really good job being an advertisement for jiu-jitsu, unintentionally.
Yeah, so if you're in Lake Stevens, Washington, I know a good academy.
And if you're in Kalispell, come try.
And anywhere else, just go try different academies, see what's up, dude.
What advice do you have for people who are super rural and they don't have an academy? Do you think you can learn it online?
No, I don't think you can learn online. And I get this question a lot. It's a real one. And this is what I recommend. Find literally the closest academy, even if it's a 3-hour drive. And then find a friend or two and be like, hey, let's commit to going to that academy once every 6 weeks. Even something like that.
Well, then if they're from your area too and you make that, you could at least work on the shit you learned together.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, you could build a little nucleus.
And dude, any reasonable jiu-jitsu academy owner, if 2 guys came to me and said, hey, I live 3 hours away and I can only make it like every month or 2, oh, well, it's too bad. You're going to have
No,
of
you would
course
fucking
not.
send them home with homework. This is what you
Yeah,
should
exactly.
work on. Like,
it'd be exciting, right?
Yeah.
Because some jiu-jitsu is better than no jiu-jitsu, and that's a fact. And just the reality of it is, are you guys going to be learning some bad habits? Yes. You're going to be doing some things that you probably shouldn't be doing? Yes. But some jiu-jitsu is better than no jiu-jitsu.
I agree.
So, but at the end of the day, you still want to be learning underneath someone in some capacity. Trying to just fucking figure this out on YouTube, I don't think that that's the best option. So go find somewhere that can kind of guide you, even if that's very, very intermittently. And I think that that's probably the best scenario.
Yeah.
That's what, do you know the Jeff Smith, Colorado Craft Beef?
Yeah.
He trains like that very intermittently. I mean, I think it's like once a week or something.
Yeah.
But still, like once a week.
Better than nothing.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
So.
It is what it is. Cool. Right on.
Are we going to go fly your helicopter around now?
Let's go see what the wind looks like. It's a little gusty. Before. It was supposed to, the forecast was supposed to chill out. So let's go figure it out.
All right, let's do it.
Look at that thing. It's rotating.
On the special 4-episode Change Agent series Black Project, we hear from experts, whistleblowers, and insiders to try to figure out if our government is behind these strange craft. And if so, why are they keeping the truth from the public?
We're told never to talk about this.
We'll look at the history of special access programs and see just how far ahead the most secretive elements of the military-industrial complex are, and what it will take to finally get the truth.
Has the government conducted secret UAP crash retrieval programs, yes or no?
Yes. Become an Ironclad YouTube member to binge all 4 episodes of Change Agents Black Project on launch day. Otherwise, catch new episodes weekly. Join now, YouTube at This Is Ironclad.